says it's doing it, it's not. Oh, wait. Ah, there we are. All right, folks, welcome to my first stream. So I'm trying to sort this out. So I do apologize if I mess up anything. And obviously, my video will get better. I have a camera on order, but and better lighting as well. But let's get going here. So we're gonna. I have nobody follow me at this time, but hopefully people will come in and check me out. Right. So a few flyers. There's one to check out here. I do apologize if the audio is a little bad. I'm still trying to sort stuff out here, but so please bear with me. Right, so we're gonna check out King NiCO. Let's see what he's got going on here. So, what has he got here? All right. Scrap here. All right. Let's look some fun one here. We're gonna do a Flat Earth debate, Culture Cats versus King NiCO, and we'll see how this went 5 days ago. So this should be a fun one. Um, do it from King NiCO's side. So let's see what kind of derp we get from this one. Right. Let's just get past all this BS.
He's going to introduce, let NiCO introduce himself, or whether he's going to break the debate down. Whatever you want, mate. It's over to you, boss.
Just very quickly, it's same as last week. Everybody gets 2 rounds of 10 minutes, opening statements and rebuttals. Third stage is a back and forth where the mics are opened up. And that's as simple as it is. And hopefully at the end of it, we'll have had a really good discussion, debate, and everybody will have enjoyed it. Like I said, I've spoken to both Cats and NiCO beforehand. They both agreed to be civil, and I trust them to do that. They're both really good chaps. So what I'm going to ask you to do.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually gonna go to Culture Cats because, well, I like him more. King NiCO's a bit of a knob, so. I probably just misspelled Culture Cats wrong. Excuse my stupid spelling. Right. Cats. NiCO or did. It's Culture Cats. Oh, no, this is only a small one. All right, let's go to Cats with the actual host. And we're going to get through all this again.
Quite a while. It's a debate between our cats and King NiCO. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to you, cats, to start things off. You're muted, mate.
But what a great start. I muted myself already. I put myself on mute to be nice before, and I left it on mute. Mute, not even on mute. Can we start this again, for God's sake? It's all gone tits up already. Right. Hello, everybody. Tonight, we're going to have a debate with NiCO. As usual, the head honcho, the boss man, the main moderator, Doom, will be keeping things nice and civil. Me and NiCO and Doom, we've been having a chat behind the scenes and getting on like a house on fire. It's all going to be great. Before we start, though, I want to throw this little bit of information out there before we talk about the debate. I was getting loads of comments saying you want to pull NiCO up on why he stole Eric Dubé's video. For those who don't know the background, Eric Dubé made a video, and then NiCO took that video and word for word replaced it. And I've been getting a lot of comments saying you've got to pick NiCO up on that. You've got to pick NiCO up on that. This is probably the one time all night I'm going to defend NiCO's point of view. I started watching NiCO a while ago to try and get an idea of what he was about, and I saw him make these arguments about the final experiment. And when Eric Dubé made his video, he took every argument that NiCO had constructed, including like the freeze frame screenshots. Basically, he raided NiCO's live streams and then put the video together from that, and didn't credit NiCO at all. So if you're one of the people who's commented saying, asking why he's ripped off Eric Dubé, I actually think it was quite a funny bit of trolling, a bit of parody of Eric Dubé's own video pillaging. And not that I agree with any of the content that was on the video, and I'm sure we'll get to that in the debate. But I did promise NiCO I'd say that because I found it hilarious.
That's quite interesting, the fact that Eric Dubé ripped off King NiCO, and then people accused King NiCO of ripping off Eric Dubé. You see this quite a bit in the Flat Earth community. They tend to parrot each other anyways because they don't actually have anything original. They've had the same thing pretty much since Robotham came out with it back in the 1700s, 1800s. But and they just keep parroting the same stuff over and over, even though it's all been debunked countless times. They tend to parrot the same stuff. But it's good on Culture Cats at least to kind of correct that and give King NiCO credit for what King NiCO had done. And Eric Dubé, he's got nothing anyways. His 200 Flat Earth truths have been debunked how many times, and I'd say about 60% of them are either repeats, and then another 20-30% is because he said so, and the rest are just misconceptions and incredulities. But let's continue on.
But we will introduce you in a second, NiCO. I can't see any of the chat just yet, so I'm not going to go to the chat. But
I'm going to say we have had a gifted from someone, but it's not come up on my screen yet. I've just saw it in the corner of my eye. I don't know who it is. Hang on.
I will.
It's can't read and it's truncated. I can't read the rest of his name.
Can't read the other day in a normal voice anymore. He was on the pre-show earlier on. And he's gifted 20 memberships. So thank you so much, sir, for that. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. That's it. What I'm going to do now, I will shut up. We'll do a super chat recall at the end of every sort of phase, so we're not constantly breaking. If that's okay.
Yeah. I've just realised I couldn't see any comments or anything because I was in the after show studio room, not the debate show studio room. So the debate is going to be as normal. Doom will break down the time limits and stuff when I pass to him. And I'm sure we'll give NiCO a chance to introduce himself, etc. before we start. So that's what I'll do. I'll go over to Doom and he can decide whether he's going to let NiCO introduce himself or whether he's going to break the debate down. Whatever you want, mate. It's over to you, boss.
Just very quickly, it's same as last week. Everybody gets 2 rounds of 10 minutes, opening statements and rebuttals. Third stage is a back and forth where the mics are opened up. And that's as simple as it is. And hopefully at the end of it, we'll have had a really good discussion, debate, and everybody will have enjoyed it. Like I said, I've spoken to both Cats and NiCO.
I don't know if I can get through this whole thing. It's like 2 hours and 30 minutes, but we'll see because it's like already past midnight here. but we'll get through at least a bit of this, see how it goes.
NiCO beforehand. They both agreed to be civil, and I trust them to do that. They're both really good chaps. So what I'm going to ask you to do first is, do you want to go first, NiCO, with your opening statement, or Katz, do you want to go first?
I'll let NiCO decide because I did call him out. So NiCO, you can decide who wants to go first, but also introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, I don't mind going first. And yeah, so thank you for everything, for having me on the show and to get the chance to give my side of the belief system that's pretty much growing and spreading, which is the flat earth or biblical earth.
Flat Earth isn't actually spreading, especially after the final experiment. There's many people actually leaving Flat Earth, Jaron Campanella being one of them. And there's actually several people that have turned their back on Flat Earth. On TikTok, I've been on that for about a year and a half, 2 years. And people are walking away from the Flat Earth on that one, as well as on even on here. Even some of the bigger names have lost some of their main followers and stuff like that have walked away from Flat Earth, realizing that Flat Earth doesn't work. But King NiCO is relatively new to this, and he's still deep into his delusion because he thinks he's got some holy war or something. That's why he dresses like a soldier, even though he's like a sergeant at best, but thinks he's ruling. He's the head of some revolution. He's a laser flare, but he doesn't. I don't know. He's got some weird things. But let's continue on.
And thanks again for bringing up the whole beef or spat between me and Eric Dubay. You actually were spot on with everything, how it's transpired, how he pretty much ripped off everything, even the screenshots and video clips. So I was like, whoa, this guy's not, I'm not going to come into this flat earth movement and let any of these top dogs, so be it, Eric Dubay, Mark Sargent, David Wise, try and think that they can one over on me and take and not give credit. So that's the main reason why I took the video back that he posted, took the transcript, put my AI voice over it, and just posted it and be like, yeah, I can do it too. So
one thing is King NiCO actually doesn't think that David Weiss is a flat earther. He thinks he's a grifter. And in fact, he thinks most flat earthers are not real flat earthers. He thinks that they're just all talking BS and they're just all grifting and they're lying. He only thinks that he's telling the truth, which is really weird. So, and you'll see this often in Flat Earth, where they actually don't have any continuity. A lot of them are infighting and they blame each other. It's rather hilarious to watch. But yeah, there's it's the globe is mostly fairly cohesive, at least on the globe side in the math and the science. Flat Earthers tend to always be arguing with each other and often can't even come to one single conclusion that makes sense. So King NiCO is definitely guilty of this.
that was pretty much it. It's not something I usually do, but it's just for the whole spat purposes, right?
Okay. Are you ready for your opening statement?
Yeah, I don't mind going first.
Okay. You can see the clock on the screen. You're watching the page, yeah?
No, I don't have the clock. I just have our videos on the screen there.
Okay. I'll jump in and tell you when there's 1 minute to go. And then if you can try and wind up your phase then. Right, okay, I'll count you in if you're ready.
And just watch because King NiCO loves to ramble on, and he tends to sometimes say the same thing over and over again, and he has a hard time shutting up. So this will be quite entertaining, and it's going to be derpy as hell. So yeah.
All right, got it.
Okay, so that's 3, 2, 1, and you can go.
All right, so hello everyone. So today I am here to present arguments from the flat earth perspective. So focusing on observable science and questioning assumptions about the globe model. So let's explore the evidence together. So we got observation versus theory, where the flat earth model relies on direct observable phenomena rather than theoretical calculations. We got no observable curvature, even at high altitudes, such as.
That's completely wrong. In fact, I have videos in which I've measured curvature myself several times, and curvature is measured by geodetic surveying on a daily basis. as well as pilots and stuff can see the curvature, as well as you go up to like space and ISS. You can watch live streams ISS on YouTube yourself and see the visible curvature, as well as you can watch satellites like the Himari 8, the goes U goes west, goes east, as well as the Epic satellite. All are live streams that they send a picture every, I think Himari is every 10 minutes. Goes is like every 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and I think um, the Epic is something wrong along the same thing with it too. They're all geostationary orbits, which means they're far enough out, and they just look at one part, and they orbit the Earth at the same rate as the Earth rotates. So that's all factually true. And in fact, the Himari 8 has been um, coincided. Like somebody from Australia looked at all the cloud patterns and everything on the day, went onto the Himari 8, and could see the exact same cloud patterns that was in the sky above their house at the exact same time, which is only possible because the Himari 8 is taking a picture every 10 minutes.
Which is from airplanes or weather balloons, the horizon appears flat and at high eye level, not curved.
And that's false as well. I have a couple of videos in which I've shown that I've measured the horizon dipping below eye level with using a theodolite app that's on my phone. So yeah, that's observable. That's easy. You can NiCO could easily go and download the app, either iPhone. They have ones for that, or they have ones for Android, and you could actually visually measure and prove that the horizon dips below eye level, and the higher altitude you go, the more that the dip is.
We got the flight paths. Airline flight paths often make more sense on a flat Earth map.
That's actually completely false in every single way. Flight paths use the Great Circle routes, which only work on the flat Earth. Sorry, pardon me, only work on the globe and don't work on the flat Earth whatsoever, especially against the southern flight paths, like anything from like Australia to like South America, like Santiago from Sydney, or from Sydney to like Johannesburg. All those would be physically impossible for the planes to actually be able to do in the time, or even physically do with the planes how far they could go. And then but on the globe, they work perfectly fine, and the routes make perfect sense. And then if you look at some of the even some of the northern trails, and I got a video I'll bring up here. I'll bring up soon that I have actually done calculations and shown even north and southern locations that the flat Earth is falsified and the globe is verified using flight paths. So NiCO's completely wrong on that too.
Not that there's a perfect flat Earth map that proves a flat Earth model, because everyone says that they've debunked the AE map, but
there is no flat Earth map that actually conforms to reality. If anytime they try to make one phenomenon work on flat Earth, they falsify every other phenomenon. Sunrises and sunsets falsifies flat Earth.
Again, we'll get into that and why that is somewhat manipulated to be wrong on purpose. We got the lack of detectable spin. If Earth was spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, we should feel the motion or see its effects on flight trajectories.
That's completely false. For once, the atmosphere is moving with the Earth, and then the wind is due to high and low pressure centers and the air moving within the atmosphere, and we can actually detect the Earth. The Foucault pendulum can measure the rotation of the Earth. Ring laser gyroscopes. Thanks, Bob Nadell, for actually showing that. He was a flat earther that he's passed along, but he actually used a ring laser gyroscope and proved the rotation of the Earth of 15 degrees per hour. And he actually tried to even say something about the ether. He put it inside of a zero Gauss chamber to try to block it from the sky, so that nothing can actually go through it, and it still measured 15 degrees per hour because ring laser gyroscopes use a Sagnac effect, which measures movement, as well as you have physical gyroscopes. There's a fellow called Jesse Path of Life, or I think his YouTube channel is just Jesse, and he actually showed a physical mechanical gyroscope measuring 15 degrees per hour rotation on drift due to the Earth's rotation. KiNG doesn't realize that the Earth rotates once 360 degrees per day, which is is not very fast. It's 15 degrees per hour. as you know, has been said many times, it's twice as fast as the hour hand on your clock. So take the hour hand, half that time, and then say how fast that is. Give you kind of something kind of related to rotation is measured in RPM, not miles per hour, which NiCO will probably bring up 1,000 miles per hour. But rotation isn't measured in miles per hour; it's measured in RPM, and the rotation of the Earth is 0.00069 RPM. So we can't feel that we don't have we're not capable of feeling such a slow speed and slow spin, but we can detect it and we can measure it because we have instruments.
The moon and the sun, they appear to be the same size in the sky, which aligns with a flat Earth model and biblical cosmology.
That's actually false again. If you actually used a solar filter that would block out all the shine and stuff in the sun, you'd actually see the sun actually is smaller than the moon. But with how all the glare you get off the sun because it is quite bright, it looks kind of about the same size approximately to the moon, which is why you'll see like when the lunar eclipse happens or solar eclipse happens, you'll see depending on where the moon is, because the moon isn't perfectly at 250,000 miles from the Earth, it moves in and out with its orbit. That sometimes it'll be perfectly blocking the sun because it's a bit closer, but you also got to think it's blocking all the glare around it. But sometimes it doesn't, in which then you get the ring of fire, and that's where the glare is actually wrapping around the moon because the moon is a little bit further out. And we can measure how far the moon is with millimeter precision using lasers. Before that, we were actually able to use radio waves before we had lasers, and before the Apollo missions, which put the targets up there that we use even to this day.
Observations of sunlight forming local hotspots on clouds further suggest the sun is small and close, not 93 million miles away. The vanishing points and
What did he say there? Was he talking about like corpuscular rays? Let's just go back a little bit on that. I think he's on corpuscular rays, which is funny because that's not true at all.
says that they've debunked the AE map, but again, we'll get into that and why that is somewhat manipulated to be wrong on purpose. We got the lack of detectable spin. If Earth was spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, we should feel the motion or see its effects on flight trajectories.
Sort of up here a little bit, like I'm taking deep breaths. I'm not used to being live, and you get like this tightness in my chest, maybe a bit of anxiety, because I want to try to make this good. But I will slow down and settle in. But yeah, I do apologize if I'm rambling a bit or if I seem like I'm a little bit out of breath. It's just feel this tenseness. So I've got to work through. But yeah, I am going to try to relax and sort myself out.
The moon and the sun, they appear to be the same size in the sky, which aligns with a flat Earth model and biblical cosmology. Observations of sunlight forming local hotspots on clouds further suggest the sun is small and close.
That's actually completely wrong, and that's been demonstrated to work perfectly fine with a faraway light source and a curved surface.
Not 93 million miles away. The vanishing points and perspective, objects disappearing over the horizon can be explained by perspective, and
That's completely wrong. Perspective does not make things disappear bottom up. And perspective, everything would have to angular size would actually go smaller, smaller, uniformly, and not just one part would disappear. Like the smallest part. So if you're looking like a ship, something like the antennas or the masts, maybe if the sails aren't up, those would be harder to resolve first. But you'd still be able to see the entire hull. The biggest part would be the last part to disappear, as it's the biggest part of the ship, and it would actually everything would converge up to your eye level until it uniformly get smaller. Flat earthers often misconstrue perspective to say that it explains bottom up disappearance. So that is empirically and demonstrably incorrect. But King NiCO, let's call him NiCO from now on, he's not intelligent enough to realize that. So, but perspective does not explain how things disappear bottom up. Things disappearing bottom up because they are being obstructed physically by something.
the limits of human vision, not Earth's curvature. We have NASA in the space programs. There are inconsistencies in NASA imagery. For example, identical cloud patterns appear in different Earth images, suggesting they are composites rather than actual photographs.
He's referring to the 2002 recreation of the Blue Marble, which actually, if you look in the 1972 Blue Marble, they have Africa in that. That was done on Kodak film. You can actually go to the Aerospace Museum in Houston, Texas, and see that physical film. And it shows the Blue Marble. The recreation actually shows North America, and it was done through composition through data from low Earth orbit satellites. But composite photographs are not fake. If you're to do a panoramic picture with your phone, let's say nice, you're standing somewhere really pretty like Grand Canyon, and you do a panoramic photo, that is a composite. It's taking loads of pictures and stitching them together. That's exactly what the 2002 Blue Marble was. That doesn't mean it's a fake picture. It means a series of different pictures and stuff stitched together to make one big picture. That's what that was. As for the cloud patterns, that was fully admitted because to try and make it look pretty, and there's certain times in which there's a lot of cloud cover, so they kind of stitched and put some other clouds there and make it look kind of pretty. But that was fully admitted by NASA and the guy who done that and explained. But flat earthers try to claim that the 1972 Blue Marble is CGI, but they didn't have CGI then. All they had was a Hasselblad camera and three guys in a capsule heading to or from the moon. That they were like 20 or 30,000 miles from the surface of the Earth when they got that shot. And you can go on to a website called March to the Moon, type it into Google, and there is physical scans of the film, the high definition scans, where they're able to get a scanner that could actually do that. And they scanned the physical film itself in HD. Like you can like download each image, the massive images, and you can go over it all. And you can even see where the side parts are of the film, because they had to make special film being in 0G to help advance it, because the Hasselblad camera didn't have that, so they had to kind of modify the film a little bit and the Hasselblad, and you can actually see that in some of the scans. You can see like the previous or the next frame kind of halfway encroaching in, or you can see where they're overexposed, because some of the shots were just like pointless, stupid shots, because they didn't have a viewfinder, so they were just kind of sort of pointing the Hasselblad camera at something and then like hitting the shot. So sometimes you'll see where there'd be like partial, like that's why the 1972 Blue Marble was one that was the prettiest one, but there's ones before that and after that where the sun, the Earth was like off the different parts or down here or partly in it, and that was like the one that kind of worked. So they took several shots hoping to get one that would work. But that was all done on physical film, and anybody can look at that. And you can see the physical film in the museum if you have a good excuse, like, or good reasoning to say they want to go see it, and they can show you, and you can look at the you have negatives. It's called positives. It's a special kind of film. I think it was Kodak Ektachrome film, and you can go see the positives in the museum. I think they actually have some of the positives with the Blue Marble hanging up in like a temperature controlled case that you can go see in the museum yourself, and that there's no way of ever CGIing anything, even to this day, on physical film.
We have scientific experiments. Certain historical experiments support a flat Earth model. The Michelson-Morley experiment failed to detect Earth's motion through space.
That's wrong. Michelson-Morley, they were actually looking for the luminiferous aether. And if you look at the very beginning of their paper, they fully admit that they know the Earth is in motion. That has been already established fact and proven. That's proven by James Bradley and several other people years and years before that. Michelson-Morley was never looking for the motion of the Earth. With that, they were looking for the luminiferous aether, as they figured that light had to travel like a wave, like if you're thinking like throw a rock into a pond and it ripples, and they figured there's some sort of substance out there that light traveled through, and they had designed the experiment to try to detect this, and what they actually had found out is that they had a falsification of the luminiferous aether. They found the result was that luminiferous aether was not detected, and so it did not exist. And they did several. They did this experiment with more precision later on, several years after that, with better equipment, more precise, and slightly better in improving the technique. And every single time they got a null result. The luminiferous ether has never been detected.
And the SAGNAT experiment demonstrated that light behaves differently depending on its direction, suggesting a stationary Earth.
That's incorrect. SAGNAC actually proves that the Earth is moving, and that's why you had the SAGNAC effect, is that it's due to motion. So that's just NiCO not understanding the papers at all. I doubt he's even read them, and most likely he's just parroting things that other flat earthers have said.
We can bring up the gas containment. Gas needs containment. Let's start with a fundamental principle of physics. Gas requires containment.
That's incorrect as well. What gas can be does not need a physical container. You can have force that can contain gas, like gravity, or other forces you can have, like, or buoyancy. I've got a experiment I've done where I've used a glass jar that wasn't on, put a candle aside, glass jar upside down, held it in there until eventually the candle went out because it burned up all the oxygen. All they had is CO2. Picked up the glass jar, moved over to another candle that was lit, put the glass jar straight on top, and instantly it goes out. Why does it go out? Because I'm containing the CO2, which is lighter in the air, using the buoyancy force inside that glass container. Obviously, I had to have something to kind of trap it in there, but it was never sealed. And so, and that's flat earthers say you have to have a sealed container, and I proved that you don't, and you can use something like a force, my force being buoyancy, which you needs gravity to have buoyancy. You need a downward force to help buoyancy. Have an upward vector, you have to have a downward vector, you have to have something on pressure pushing down to have something to help lift it up, like buoyancy, and using that to contain CO2. You also get the same thing if you do an oxyacetylene welding, in which you use acetylene and oxygen helps to raise the temperature of the acetylene, and also helps to protect the weld, by cleaning it, and it causes a pressure around it. You get the same thing with using like MIG welding. MIG welding uses electricity, but you have you use a gas. You use argon normally, or CO2, and it causes like a little clean center around there that protects the weld until it cool down. And there's no container. It's just using gas and forces to to protect that weld, so you don't get any kind of impurities and stuff in it. So, two examples I can think of offhand. But yeah, you don't need a physical container, which NiCO is trying to allude to. You can use forces. The force we have on Earth is called gravity. It's not perfect. We lose millions of tons of our atmosphere every year out to space. Some of the atmosphere does escape, and atmosphere particles of the atmosphere, very, very small parts, have been found even up to the moon, because we have a pressure gradient, which is down to closer to the Earth. You have greater pressure because closer to the gravitational pull of Earth. As you go up in altitude, straight up, you get less and less because the gravity gets slightly weaker as you go further up. And air, being that the molecules are very small and very far apart, the gravity can't hold onto it as easily, and so it's able to start kind of spreading out and escaping.
Pressurized system. Gas expands until it is restricted by a barrier.
Also, I've done a experiment where I showed over top of a kind of boiling water of a high pressure system, and then just on each side of it is a low pressure system. So as gas was being contained at pressure, higher pressure next to low pressure, and so that's a higher pressure gas next to low pressure gas. There was no container there. It was just sitting above in just my kitchen, and upload a video of that. Anybody wants to have a look at that, have a look. And that's another thing of gas being contained without a physical container.
So other failed experiments such as Aries failure, Michelson-Marley, Bedford level experiment.
Aries failure actually was this kind of proved that they're trying to prove light, and once again they're trying to show the luminiferous ether, and they proved to show that, and it actually showed light, and how light moves, and he was kind of a precursor to general relativity, but it did actually conform with general relativity when that came out, and which then explained Airy's failure. And also Bedford level. That was I think that was a flat Earth one, and what it was is some doctor went out, thought he could prove the curvature of the flatness of the Earth, but what he didn't understand or didn't know is that atmospheric refraction, the atmosphere bends light and bends light down towards a denser medium, so closer to Earth or closer to water. We have cooler air. Cooler air is denser and warmer air, and so the light will bend down towards it. The Bedford level when somebody on another fellow went out a couple of years after the doctor had wrote his he wrote a book under a pseudonym, and he was a surveyor who understood these things. He went out, did the exact same experiment, the exact same place, and was able to validate the globe Earth and falsify the dot on the other fella's calculations because the other fella didn't take the atmosphere into account.
I wanted to, where is it? So the 24-hour sun, last but not least, right? So we just had the the TFE experiment. So the 24-hour sun in Antarctica.
I can tell you right now where he's going with this because I've already addressed his he thinks this is gotcha. That's why he's the last he thinks it was LED screens like the volume that Disney uses, or something like the Sphere that's in Las Vegas, and he thinks he had something like that down in Antarctica, and that it showed 24-hour sun, but which it was never there. There's no proof that there's nothing anything there like that at all. And even if there was, I actually showed how if it was surrounded by LED screens, you would not have had the results they had. You would never had shadows or anything like that because LED screens all around you, even with the sun on it being shown as the image on there, all the screens light up. They're all like light emitting, and they would cause no shadows whatsoever. Surrounding you, you'd have nothing, and the sun going around wouldn't cause any shadows to move. It's just an image on the LED screen, which, like I said, the whole screen is emitting light all at the same time.
Is often cited as proof of the globe Earth model. However, there are several problems with this claim, starting with the evidence itself. So manipulated evidence. Most of the evidence presented for the 24-hour sun consists of time-lapse videos. Time-lapse footage can easily be manipulated.
And he's got no evidence or proof of this. It's time lapse because I don't know about you, but I don't feel like sitting on a computer watching a live stream for 24 hours nonstop and watching a camera try to track it. People got better things to do than to be sitting for 24 hours and watching a glowing orb above a snowy, icy tundra slowly rotate around. Time lapse is like taking that whole thing, compressing it into something, and we're watching it at a much faster rate so that you can actually see what's going on. There is ones that are like 24, that are like 20 some minutes, 25 minutes, and you can interact with it and watch it. But even then, it's still sped up because, like I said, who's got freaking time to sit there for 24 hours watching a glowing orb above a snowy tundra? I certainly don't.
There's restricted access. Antarctica is one of the most restricted areas on Earth.
That's completely wrong. Now, there is certain areas for safety, like because they do have fissures that open up underneath the ice, and you don't see where it is, and you go down one of those, and that's it. You are now part of the icy tundra forever and ever and ever, and eventually when it melts in a few million years, then they'll find what's left of your corpse. So, yeah, there is like sometimes restrictions for that for your own safety, so that you don't end up, expiring. Also, there's certain places where they're doing scientific experiments and they have equipment out there that they don't want to have disturbed, and some of it is just for certain parts on the coast to protect the wildlife because people are knobheads and they have had problems where tourists have come up there when on some of the boats, and then they've done things like I think I heard a story where people picked up a seal and decided to throw it into the ocean off a cliff, um, and or push them. Like this doing stupid things. And yeah, those things can swim, but I don't think that's the animal wanted to be thrown off the top of a cliff into an icy ocean. It was not wanting to be there. And as well as penguins and stuff being injured. And I think there was another story I heard somebody was in Antarctica and they had chicken or something like that, and obviously they ate the chicken themselves, and then they used the toilet, did their number two, and somehow penguins got hold of it, and some penguins end up with bird flu. And so they're trying to keep the Antarctica, which is one of the last places that humans haven't completely destroyed and defiled, trying to keep it as clean and pure as possible, so because they could do scientific experiments that without having humans have had some sort of influence and wrecked it. So it's not restricted that way. Anybody can go. It didn't take TFE's team. All they had to do is they phoned up a company called ALE and when it comes to Antarctica, and they went, yeah, sure, throw us $30,000 and we'll fly you down here and we'll put you up and you can go wherever you want. There's several people that have done solo missions across Antarctica or gone from the coast, that gone straight into the um, geographic South Pole, and they've done solo expeditions. There's nobody watching them. Nobody was there. There's a French guy that done it several years ago. I think there's a few people that done it just recently, unassisted, unsupervised. And the only way we know is because when they got there, they were picked up, and then we got to see the footage when they loaded it up and they showed videos. So NiCO is completely wrong. He's only referring to one thing, a video that came out years and years ago, claiming it's Antarctica, and actually it was a bunch of fishermen in t-shirts and shorts off the coast of Tasmania, and they had sailed into the middle of a military exercise zone, and the military came in and told them to bugger off because they were in a way and they're going to get injured because they're doing some military exercises. That's the only time Flat Earthers claim that was people trying to get to Antarctica, but that was like thousands of miles even from the coast of Antarctica. And even if the guys were going there, they wouldn't have survived because they were in jeans and they were in t-shirts and shorts and in a nice summer day.
Due to the Antarctic Treaty.
Antarctic Treaty actually doesn't stop anybody from going. If NiCO had read it, I've read it several times. I have it on my phone. I could read it to you right now if anyone interested. I can live stream, and it actually says that Antarctica is open for anybody and all people to come down and do scientific research. That's pretty much the whole point of Antarctica.
Inconsistent observations. So there's travelers to Antarctica often report long daylight hours, but not a continuous 24-hour sun.
He's talking to people that are on cruise ships, and the cruise ships aren't just not simply far enough in. Sometimes they're a little bit farther out. Just have daylight, but and they'll have 24-hour daylight because the sun just dips below the horizon a little bit and comes back up. It's only down for a very short time, and it's only because they're not far enough south to observe, or they may not have been at the exact time, maybe just in or outside of the time where they can observe the 24-hour sun, because it's below a certain latitude. You see the 24-hour sun, and if you're outside that, then you'll have 24-hour daylight. And the same thing happens in the north.
The atmospheric refraction, right? So more science to back up science that backs up the science that was created. So an alternative explanation for the extended daylight in Antarctica is atmospheric refraction. So this phenomenon, well documented in science, causes light to bend as it passes through the atmosphere, creating the illusion of prolonged daylight.
That's actually not correct at all. Atmospheric refraction does affect the sun in the way of if you're watching the sun set as it gets right above the horizon. If you're to time it, you'll notice it'll take a few minutes longer. I think they say about 5 minutes longer when the sun gets to a certain point for sunset, and that's down to the high refractive rate of the atmosphere right below, especially if you're looking above the ocean. So normally happens above water, large bodies of water like the ocean, and that is due to the high refractive rate over the sea, where you have these air is a lot more cooler and it's much more denser, and it does bend light. That's the only thing, but it would not cause 24-hour sun in Antarctica for a flat Earth. Because we're legit talking about you think like the flat Earth is like this pop filter here, right? So let's just say the TFE team is here. and the sun is supposed to be doing this over top of their flat Earth, right? So at times when the sun's over here, they're seeing people here are not seeing the sun here. They're not looking this way. They're seeing it over here, and that's the problem. Now there's no way, absolutely impossible for refraction to cause the sun to go up and over top and bend down and come around 180 degrees. Physically impossible. That is not how it works. That is ridiculous and completely unproven. So, yeah, the TFE team were like just below. They went from, let's say, South America's here. I got Santiago, Chile, and then you go into they went inland a bit, about 100 some miles inland from the coast, and they were within, I think it was 80 degrees south, so 79, 80 degrees south, while within where they could see the 24-hour sun, and they could see the sun was just going. So I think up here we see the sun go. It would go clockwise here, so they had theirs going counterclockwise. It might be opposite my camera, but it was going backwards as well because they were on the bottom of the Earth. So that completely falsifies flat Earth, and refraction does not account and is not excused. It's for that. Refraction would not cause that whatsoever. Would not cause the circling sun above Antarctica, especially if the Earth is flat. The only way it can be explained is if the Earth is a globe on a 23.5 degree axial tilt, with Antarctica being on the side tilted towards the southern hemisphere, tilted towards the sun at the time, which it is. So NiCO's just talking crap as normal.
Right? So science. Basically, science in its purest form is a process of discovering and understanding the natural world through observation, experimentation, and evidence. However, like
Which NiCO has none of that.
any human endeavor, it is influenced by various factors, including funding, politics, and societal values.
And that's why anything that's like scientifically, usually if it's empirically proven and it's been peer reviewed, that's where you have other people in that field have looked over the evidence, have looked over the experiment, have looked over everything. And I mean, peer review, they are brutal. I mean, if you got an I isn't dotted correctly, you got punctuation out of place, they kick it back and they go, nope, this paper's no good. Your findings are false. Even though everything can be perfectly fine, they try to find fault, because what a lot of scientists want to do is they want to get famous. They want that Nobel Prize. So if they can somehow look over your paper but discredit it in some sort of stupid little way, they'll do that, and then they'll go out and then maybe improve on it a little bit, see what you did. Maybe they can get a little better, and but they'll not make the mistakes you did. Make sure that all their paper is written perfectly fine and everything's on there, and all numbers and I's are dotted and punctuation's right place. Then they'll put it in, and then if they can get there, and then they can get credit for the discovery. So peer review is brutal, 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 and so a lot of people think that peer review in science is that easy, and they all agree, and they'll call you all chummy. Nah, not at all. No, they all want to have the credit for the findings. So peer review, they are it's reviewed and scrutinized extensively. It's talk to any scientist that does papers and puts it in for peer review, they're sweating it. I've seen several people talking about it.
So who controls the science? Scientists and researchers. At the core, scientists, researchers, and academics are the ones who carry out experiments, develop the theories, and advance knowledge in their fields.
Yes, because they're the people who have put the time, effort, money, and devoted their lives to that. So they are, and they're the ones who've understood it and have proven themselves to be the authorities on that. So yeah, they tend to be the ones who do that because they're the ones who understand it, and they're also the ones who can falsify and find the falsehoods, falsify it, or they can validate it.
They follow established methods and protocols to ensure their findings are reliable.
Yes, because that's kind of the best way to do it. Or else, if you're always running around gung ho and making things up on the fly, then how do you know that things are done legit?
We've got the institutions and universities, academic institutions and research organizations often fund, so more money again funded and support scientific research.
Yeah, the world's run by money. I mean, that's just kind of how things are.
The government and funding agencies, government bodies like the National Institutes of Health, the National Science Foundation, and others provide significant funding for scientific research. And we've got private sectors and corporations, companies, especially in industries like pharmaceuticals, energy, and technology, often fund scientific research.
Yeah, they do, because if they could find something that will be efficient or be new or be better that can like outpace the competition, then they will. So there's they want the research and the science to work and to legit and be to function, because then if it works and they can put money in and find a way of doing something better or finding a new way of doing something, and it is empirically proven or more efficient, and so better efficiency means more money, then yeah, they want to have that. So that all it shows is that they want something that works. If it doesn't work, then they don't want it and they're not going to fund it. So somebody needs to prove that their findings is going to lead to something that can get not always, but if they can get private sector investment or something, then yeah, private companies are all over that, because that's what they want. They want something that works. And so if something's proven to work, then that's a good thing, isn't it? That's how we got things like mobile phones and computers and the internet. All these things are because science was proven to be correct and worked and or been improved upon efficiency, and then they're able to be marketable.
That aligns with their business interests. So science is very biased. Just follow the money, and that's how you get your answer to the science. So
No, science is no, it's only biases in to follow the evidence and follow what works. If it doesn't work, then they or if it's not showing any promise, then they abandon it, and they'll find a better way or do something different.
I'd like to pretty much end off with that. I think I covered a lot in that opening statement, and yeah, we can take it from there.
And this is because NiCO's everything he said there's incredulities, and now we're gonna watch Culture Cats. It's gonna absolutely just rip him to shreds. So I'm gonna try to make this a bit quicker, because like I said, it is getting long, and I've probably made this a lot longer.
Okay. One thing I will ask before I unmute Cats. One thing I should have asked you before we started, so this is on me. Are you wanting to present anything on screen?
Not necessarily. I'm pretty sure that whatever I could present, Katz would pretty much have it in his rebuttal anyway. So I still have my arguments here to all broken down. So
okay, I just thought I'd give you the choice because we could set it up while Katz was speaking if you wanted to. If you want to do it any time during the debate, it probably took me about a minute to set it up.
cool.
Okay, thank you, NiCO. Right, Katz, I'll just reset your time.
Can I share my screen?
You can. Just let me reset your time first. I'm not an octopus. Wished I was.
Sorry about that. I got distracted on screen there.
Okay, just reset that. You want to share your screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
See, you should have set this up as well. You see, you should know better than this. This one's on you.
I've just seen a comment that caught my eye, made me giggle, but I'll mention it later. Sorry. Yeah. So have we started?
No, not yet.
Okay. I'm going to do a dance while we're no, let's have a.
You're on.
Oh, I'm on. This is my time. My time's up. Gone.
No, no. Do you want me to start it?
You can start it.
Okay.
So normally when I do a debate, and it's been a long time. All right, I came out of retirement last week. It's been a while, but when I cast my mind back and remember, I would try and use a lot of evidence and throw a lot of evidence. I'm going to take a different tact tonight, and that's because NiCO is a different kind of opponent. NiCO does not make a secret of the fact he's a biblical flat earther. A lot of the time, I will debate flat earthers, or in the past, who really were biblical flat earthers, but they would pretend they weren't. They felt somehow that cheapened the argument, and they would pretend they understood the science, and obviously they'd misrepresent it. But NiCO is, and if I'm misrepresenting you, hold my hand up, but you're a loud and proud biblical flat earther. That's the message you want getting out. You believe that the Bible says the earth is flat. Now,
one of the things with NiCO is that, well, he says he's a born again Christian. He doesn't actually believe in any one Christian faith, but his own Christian faith. Kind of. He doesn't say he's a Catholic. He's a born again Christian is his Christian faith. So I think he got, he had some really rough times. He was not a good person back when he was younger, and then he became a born again Christian, but doesn't actually adhere to any one Christian faith. I think he just has his own Christian faith, the faith that he makes up and thinks that he's correct.
What I want to do is get to the bottom of the type of flat earther NiCO is, and I'm just going to run you through this very high-tech PowerPoint that I've put together.
He's a religious flair. That's what I call him.
Very high-tech. You can tell I used to be a teacher. So for me, I literally have one stance when it comes to biblical flat earth, and that is that if the Bible is correct, right, if it's correct, then the scientific evidence will disagree. The Bible, I believe, according to biblical flat earthers, wouldn't say something if it wasn't correct. So therefore, you should be able to have a flat earth debate and present flat earth arguments using the science and leaving the Bible out completely, because the science will agree with the Bible. And obviously, if you're going to try and convince an entire world where we're living in a scientific and technological age, we're not really living in the age of religion anymore. We're living in more of a technological age. If you want to convince them that the world is flat, then you're going to have to use science, and you're not going to use biblical scripture, which hundreds of years ago, or even a couple of hundred years ago, maybe would have been enough. So I believe that we can categorize biblical flat earthers, and we can say that some of the biblical flat earthers will say, no, the science does not agree with the Bible at all. So in other words, they are saying the Bible is true, but I accept that all the scientific observations, all the scientific measurements say that the earth is a globe. All right. But I believe in the Bible that it's flat, and somehow through some kind of biblical powers, or however you put it, the earth is flat, but science says otherwise. Okay. And for that, I just have to put my hand up and say, okay, if NiCO was to come on stream and say that tonight and say, you know what, actually the science does agree that the earth is a globe, but the science isn't as great as, the God that I believe in, and the earth is still flat. He's just made the science look like that. Fair enough. You can't, where can you go with that other than just to say, well, best of luck, with your beliefs, etc. But then there's the other type of biblical flat earther who will say, oh, no. The Bible does agree with science. And everybody out there who believes that the earth is a globe is just not understanding the science correctly. And if, as a biblical flat earther, you're going to take that stance, you have to show that you've got an understanding of what that science is. And you have to be able to articulate and explain how the observations and measurements we make are predicted and are evidence for a flat earth. And
which NiCO can't. He makes a lot of claims, but I don't think I've seen a few of his debates. He's never shown a scrap of evidence of his claims. He just makes crap up.
If those explanations tend to revolve around, well, it's not really important, or I don't really know, then it does kind of question, this whole kind of stance. And I've never spoken to NiCO before tonight. I honestly don't know which of these camps he falls in. I guess we're going to find out as the debate goes on. Does he believe the science actually agrees with the Bible, and can he back that up? Now, I'm going to present some things because I know there's a rebuttal coming, and I'd like to give NiCO the chance to rebut some facts. So I'll just throw some oldies but goodies in there. With the flat earth, how can the flat earth, for example, explain circumpolar stars and star trails especially when we have them acting in opposite directions in the northern and southern hemisphere. How is that actually possible? And rather than perhaps just saying, well, if you stand on the other side of something, it looks like it's going in the opposite direction. Can that really be fleshed out and explained? And I'll give NiCO, plenty of time to explain exactly how that's possible. I won't jump in and interrupt him.
And that's not possible. That's not possible at all. And what Culture Cats was referring to is Austin Whitsitt claimed that if you stand on the other side of a window and you draw a circle like this, stand on the side of the window, like the camera on the side of me, it looks like it's going opposite. My hand's going counterclockwise to me, and it might go counterclockwise to the stream. The only thing is, when do we go from this side of the window to the other side and look the opposite way? That's not how it works. We stand on. I don't have a globe with me, but we stand on the ball here. I say this is the northern hemisphere and that's the southern hemisphere. We look this way to see the star trails north, and we look that way to see the southern star trails. And as you know, I look at see my arm here is the Sigma Octantis. No matter where you're standing here, you always look in the same place. And if you're standing on this side looking that way towards the microphone, then no matter which way you look, you're going to look north to see, no matter where you are standing out here around, you're always looking that way to see Polaris. And this is something that Flat Earth cannot explain and cannot demonstrate.
I'll give him all the time he needs to
without invoking magic.
Explain these things. Mr. Sensible's Mage 2, one of our own in the community, spent a great deal of money, and I know a lot of you helped fund it, to send a weather balloon, a high altitude weather balloon up there with a non-fisheye, he had a fisheye lens camera and obviously a non-fisheye lens camera to show the difference.
That'd be the rectal linear lens, and this was done a few times, including the I think it was called the Go Faster rocket on rectal linear lens, so no distortion, and it showed the curvature of the Earth. Look it up. It's a long video, but very cool to look up. It's on YouTube.
And he went to great pains to hang these straight pieces of string to show that there was no distortion on the lens that could be blamed when we saw the curvature of the Earth, which is blatant curvature here. This was.
Is it me or does NiCO look pissed off? Because he's just getting ripped here with showing actual evidence and proof instead of just making up crap.
Seen, and it's seen many, many, many times by people launching up a weather balloon, but he did it with these pieces of string, so you could actually see that the lens wasn't responsible for this curvature. So how are images like this compatible with a flat Earth if the flat Earth, exists? How?
And they're not. And it's funny because Culture Cats, he's a quite a nice guy. He's got, obviously, he doesn't take crap. He does it in such a nice way that NiCO can't NiCO can't go and get angry because NiCO's quick to go. He gets really vile and really nasty real quick. If you don't believe me, watch him on FTFEs or MC Tunes. FTFE tried to be really nice to him, never meeting him before, and then it got nasty real quick. And NiCO was not a very good person. In fact, he was on there twice and he rage quit both times because he just got ripped to shreds every time.
How actually is it compatible that we can film? And I've got Ranty's video. I don't know if Ranty's in the chat because I can't see the chat the minute while I'm doing this. He certainly came in the chat I saw before. This is a video Ranty took a while ago before he left the flat Earth, and he filmed a boat going over the horizon, start to finish, and it just totally disappeared. Couldn't be zoomed back. It just went. So again, how is that actually possible without simply saying the word perspective? It's just perspective. If I can get a detailed explanation of that, then I might start to believe that actually, yes, there is an understanding of the science. And if not, is it just a case of there's a very strong biblical belief and a lack of scientific understanding? In which case, that's fine. Everybody,
That's pretty much it. Because NiCO has nothing, and refraction doesn't explain that. And even I've done similar observation with wind turbines, and you can see how the wind turbines, ones further away, are much lower on the horizon to the point where it looks like the turbines, the parts that stick out are like hitting the water, but they're not. They're just simply going all the same height all same altitude off the ocean over the Irish Sea, and they there's just the fact is they're dropping down, they're going over and getting lower, and because of the curvature of the Earth, I think they're 8 to 9 miles out. The ones that are further, and the ones closer were about 5 miles. As well as I showed a boat to which I was up about 20 feet up, and there's a staircase in front of me. So I took a picture of the boat, ran down the staircase, took another picture of the boat, exact same camera, same zoom, and you could see much less of the hull when I went to lower, and that's due to the fact that it was just past curvature of the Earth.
It's all right for me as a science teacher to sit here and say he doesn't remember this from school, he doesn't remember that. It's not about trying to poke holes in what NiCO knows. I'm just trying, and I said this to him off camera, I'm trying to understand why he says what he says. That's where I'm coming from. When we look at observations, again, like this, real world observations, clouds having the shadow on them from mountains below, meaning the light source is below the surface of the mountain. How can that possibly be explained on a flat Earth?
Or in fact, I got a few pictures showing the sun light reflecting off the bottom of commercial airplanes. They're above me, flying over my head, and yet the bottom of the plane is being illuminated. Which the only way that could happen is if the sun is below that plane, the light was coming up, hitting that bottom of the plane, and then reflecting down because the angle it comes up, the angle's got to come down, and it's going into my eye, and I can see it. And in fact, I just took one yesterday, which you can see the plane as it went across. You could see a little bit, and as it got just a certain point, you could see it reflecting right at me, and then it got past that point, and then the light wasn't being reflected into my eye anymore. You could see, and then you could see the plane is really bright, and then there's a little spot that was still kind of reflecting, and then it went away. The only way that can happen is if there's a globe, and the sun is setting below the horizon, which falsifies the flat Earth.
What could possibly the explanation for that be? Or is it a case of just saying optical phenomena, which would be a bit of a cop-out? Real world measurable effects like the Opvos effect. This is one of Wolfie's experiments, and Critical Think did something very similar in the TFA experiment, where we actually can predict the changes in mass, changes in weight, observed weight of an object if we're moving east as opposed to west. And that can be replicated. We can do that. Obviously, you know, there's lots of other things as well, which I showed this on the debate last week. Aaron last week couldn't really give me any explanation for any of the things I've got here. I'm not going to read them out all again. I'm sure we'll touch on it in the debate. But I don't want to take too much time. I'm sure my time's coming to an end anyway, other than just to say, you know, this, for me, I'm not going to convince NiCO the Earth isn't flat. I'm not going to do that. He's not going to walk away and go, oh, Kat said this and now I'm not a flat earther. That's not going to happen. But what I'm hoping will happen is that by the end of it, I truly understand why he believes what he believes. And we've shone some light on whether that is down to just purely biblical belief or whether he does have a grasp on the science and there is a scientific element to it as well. That's all I'm here for, really, to find out. So
Let's honestly culture cats because it's very clear NiCO's not going to believe anything. NiCO's just going to not deny everything. And just from what I've seen of King NiCO, and I've watched a few of his videos debunk this stuff, as well as I've seen a few times, and this stuff trying to be explained to him, and he just runs away from it. In fact, if we press him too much, then he starts getting really angry and offended because he doesn't like to be questioned and made a fool of, which pretty much every time has happened. He's been a bit more well behaved at later debates, but yeah, no, he'll just deny everything. As for the science, yeah, he doesn't have any of the science. He doesn't understand any of it. It's his own made up Christian belief. He believes in the Bible, and that's it. And how he's interpreted the Bible, not the interpretation of scholars, people that may have studied it and stuff like that, but his own diluted and twisted interpretations of the Bible that fits his narrative inside his head that makes him feel special. And that's King NiCO in a nutshell.
I'll stop sharing now.
Okay. Right. Okay. So that's your time done. I'm going to switch over to NiCO in a second. All right, NiCO.
This should be fun now. We're going to see back and forth a bit, and we'll see how long before NiCO loses his crap. I mean, this is 2 hours and 30 minutes, so at least it lasts a little longer.
NiCO, are you ready to go?
Yeah, pretty much. Again, it's the same stuff being used to be passed off as evidence that can easily be rebutted. So
yeah, but yeah, NiCO won't have an answer for any of this other than nah and our incredulities and falsifications, falsified statements.
you can see a curve from high altitudes, like from an airplane. No one can. So
that's incorrect. And in fact, there's many pilots that have shown that from the cockpit, which is you can't say it's the windows because the windows are perfectly designed to not have any kind of distortion to them, because that would be dangerous for a pilot to have a distorted view outside his windows.
the curve that some claim to see,
as well as look up James May went up in a U-2 spy plane and took pictures of the curvature of the Earth.
is due to the perspective and the limits of the human eye. So at high altitudes, the window glass can distort the view and the effect of curvature.
Like I said, pilots' windows don't distort the view. They are optically corrected to make sure they do not do that, because that'd be extremely dangerous to have a distorted view out the pilot's windows.
So it's often due to the lens curvature in the camera or optical distortions. So in reality, observations from airplanes have shown that the horizon remains flat and rises to eye level, which is consistent with a flat Earth model.
Nope, wrong.
Also, the star trails.
Yeah, NiCO says stuff, but has not presented a scrap of evidence to prove his statements. Just says, nah.
Have them right here. So the projections of, this is what the science is saying that is going on. So the appearance of star trails, it's influenced by the Earth's rotation and the viewer's location on the planet. So while the star trails themselves remain constant in their fundamental motion, due to Earth's rotation, so they say, right, they appear differently in the northern hemisphere and southern hemispheres because of the Earth's spherical shape. And
yes, and this has actually been proven and modeled. One I can think of right now is Globeface actually was able to model this perfectly using a spherical, using a sphere and spinning stuff. Or take like a camera, two cameras, hang them upside down, spin them both at the same, so one's looking up, one's looking down. So falsifying the flat Earth is not both looking out, and you'll see the rotations going the opposite ways, even though they're both spinning at the same direction. They're looking out, you'll see one going clockwise, one going counterclockwise. And then if you had a wider view, you'd actually see in the middle where they would be spinning the same way in the middle, like from the equator. And then it'd be the circles would be bigger and then going tighter and tighter and tighter, but both rotating. The rotation is the opposite way. So still going east to west, but the bending, so one's bending this way and one's bending that way, and so you have a clockwise and counterclockwise rotation. And that's what is observed and is only possible on a globe, and falsifies a flat Earth. If it was a flat Earth, you'd see rotation above you going around, and you'd be going bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually you get to the end, and it looks straight, and at the southern, it'd just be one big, huge, long, straight observation. If you had like a long time lapse of the stars, it looked like they were just going the exact same direction. So let's say counterclockwise, and then it'd just be going past you, going left to right. And as you go up, everything be going from left to right, left to right, left to right, all the way up to a fixed point. That's the claim of the flat Earth, but is falsified in reality.
the observer's position relative to the axis of rotation. But what that really is just, again, it's the way the human eye works and the limits of our eyeballs. So when you're in the north, again, the fact that the stars remain the same and the Polaris, the northern star, remains still and does not move and remains above the North Pole is just.
Polaris isn't above the North Pole anymore. In fact, it's starting to move away. I think since 2013, I think was the closest it was to the geographic North Pole, and now I think it's about half an arc second from that, and over time, it's actually measured that it moves very, very, very slowly, but it is actually moving away from that, and that I think is due to the fact that the Earth's axis is does gradually precess. We're at 23.5 degrees, but eventually, now we're talking like astronomical time, very, very long time periods. It will change, and then I think when the Egyptians were around, the pole star, the North Pole Star, was Thuban, which is part of the Big Dipper, and then as it moved, Thuban moved away, and then Polaris became the pole star, the star that's closest to the northern pole. And then after that, I think it will be. God, I knew this. I think it'll be. I can't think of the other one right now, but there's another one that's up there. It's not too far. Crap. It's like 1:30 in the morning, so give me a break.
This should say that we're not moving or going anywhere, and the sky is what's moving around us. The photos from space, they show the Earth is round. No, they don't. So many of the images taken from space are produced by NASA or
Citation needed, NiCO. Oh wait, no, he doesn't have one.
similar organizations which have a vested interest in maintaining the round Earth narrative.
Reason? Does he have any kind of reasoning for that? Can he prove it? Why would the Russians and the Chinese lie for NASA? I'd like to know for him to explain that. But or why would the North Koreans, who I think have sent stuff up, why would they lie? But why would they all lie when they all don't like each other? Back when the Apollo missions, Gemini missions, and the Mercury missions happened back in the 60s. And if there's anything falsified, the Russians would have loved to expose the U.S. They would love to, especially in the space race. If they could have proved that the Apollo missions never touched the moon, the Russians would have done that. Believe me, they would have so done that in like less than a heartbeat. They were watching, they were tracking the whole thing, and guaranteed there were some heads that rolled and some people that cried a long time when Apollo 11 touched down on the and Armstrong did his whole speech and all that. Believe me, the Russians, if they thought that was falsified, they could have proved it. They would have, and then they would have gone up there, and then they would have been famous, and they would have won the space race and showed the superiority of the USSR. But they didn't, because they couldn't prove it, because it was all legit, and they could see it was legit, and they couldn't say it was fake. They would have if they could have. Same as the Chinese. Chinese have taken pictures of all the different locations, and you can see some of the tracks. You can see some of the stuff that's on the moon still, from their orbiters going around the moon. They took some pictures, and they actually proved it themselves. The Chinese, who would love to freaking falsify and prove their superiority over the U.S., have actually collaborated what the U.S. was able to do back then. If they could have falsified that, man, they would do that in a heartbeat. So, and then they could go and land on there, and they said actually they were the first. The U.S. lied all these years, and they would make the U.S. look like fools. But they haven't, and they won't, because it's not true. The U.S. did go there, and everything from NASA, not everything, but most everything is true. NASA is accountable to Congress and to the public, and they have to show what they're doing, and that's why it takes so long for them to do these, like for Artemis mission to launch. That's why Elon Musk doesn't have as many restrictions, being that he's privately funded. He can do stuff like his Starship program, where he's like destroyed how many, because he just has the whole thing of send it and see what happens and we'll learn from it. NASA has to like model everything and prove everything and show everything, and it's in one thing, and it needs to work the first time. So yeah, NASA gets 1 penny to the dollar of U.S. tax money, but look and see what the U.S. military gets.
So some photos are clearly digital composites, and discrepancies in different images show varying curvatures and Earth sizes. So in addition, space photography is unreliable and often manipulated to fit a particular agenda.
That's definitely a base palm right there. It's just crap. He's making loads of claims, scrap of evidence.
And it goes back to what I said before about who's controlling the science, the scientists and researchers, the institutions and universities, the government, the private sectors and corporations. That's where the science is coming from. That's where it's being funded, and it's being funded with an agenda and a certain vested interest. So there's many arguments. It's the same old arguments again. It's, whether it's the Earth's shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse, proven it's round, which it doesn't. The shape of the Earth's shadow during a lunar eclipse doesn't necessarily prove the Earth is round. A flat Earth model can also explain the shadow.
Okay, NiCO, explain it, show it. Because you know what? It can't. Because your model, the sun and the moon are both above the Earth, floating and doing like circles around. Don't explain how that, flat Earth can't explain how that happens. I've heard some say electromagnetism, but if you ask about how much, electromagnetism would take, how much voltage, how much amperage, they can't explain that. If it was that much power, we could measure it. We'd all be walk around, hair standing on end. But yeah, no, the lunar eclipse or the solar eclipse, either one, yeah, that's impossible in the flat Earth.
With the possibility that it's the result of a similar local light source.
Yeah, the moon is not a light source, and I have pictures of the moon, high definition pictures I've took myself with my own telescope and my camera, showing craters that are dark down the bottom, and the top edge on one side is being lit up, and the other side is being dark. That's past the terminator line, and that is due to the fact is that part of the crater is taken up above, high enough up that the sunlight can hit the one edge of that crater, even though it's past terminator line was dark around it, because it's like a higher section. And this very clearly proves that the Earth is that the moon is a sphere and is reflecting light. You can't have shadows on a light source.
Another argument is you can see a curve from high altitude. So I just explained how the optical distortions can show that. And
he didn't. Well, no, he said that some sort of optical distortions can do that. He wasn't able to cite any sources or any proof. He's just making claims without having any evidence to back it up. So claims without evidence can be dismissed without evidence.
And whether it's taken live due to the lens or a fisheye lens, it can still, with or without, it can distort and make something flat appear to be curved. The thing with the ships disappearing over the horizon is the disappearing hull. So the effect can be explained by perspective and atmospheric refraction. Again, more science to back up the science that failed, right?
No, he's wrong.
So ships appear to vanish from the bottom up due to the limitations of our eyesight. So we're not.
Yeah, but if you use a P1000 or if you use like my Celestron telescope, which is 3 times more powerful than the P1000, still can't bring the bottom of the ship back in this perspective.
Superhuman. We don't have.
Or I mean, back in the vision.
Clark Kent superhuman vision. We can see across the Earth like we.
Yeah, but we have instruments that can give us that, and they don't show that. The Flat Earther's favorite camera, the P1000, has been used and has shown the exact same effect that the Earth that the ships disappear bottom first. And yet you can see the little tiny antennas on top of them, so it's not perspective because you wouldn't be able to see those.
We can only see a certain distance in front of us, and everything else past that is distorted with the smog, the atmosphere, gravity is a proven force? No, gravity, as it is understood in mainstream science, is based on a theory that has never been directly proven.
Scientific theory is proven. And I'll bring this up to flat earthers all the time, and not a single flat earther has ever been able to explain this without using gravity, and it's the Pound-Rupka experiment, or the Pound-Snyder experiment, which is one that came after that, in which he used gamma radiation and measured it going vertical 60 feet up in a tower at the Harvard University, and using gamma waves, gamma radiation, they were able to measure their gravitational pull of the Earth using redshift, blue shift, as the frequency changed with the gamma radiation going up and down. And it was in a controlled environment. They accounted for temperature. It was all temperature controlled to be the same. They accounted for make sure it wasn't electrostatics. It was all grounded. Everything was grounded, and so it was all neutral. But yet, when they did the exact same thing on a horizontal, not a vertical axis, there was no shift whatsoever. The red shift, blue shift didn't change whatsoever. But going vertical, they observed the shift due to gravitational pull of the Earth. And then when they were able to use frequencies where they can change the I think use some sort of like speakers or something like that for the detectors, they're able to match it. They're able to account for the shift by having to change these things to move up and down a certain thing, so they knew what frequency that they were changing to from the top to the bottom.
Coriolis effect is often misunderstood and misrepresented. It doesn't.
NiCO doesn't know what a Coriolis effect is. He thinks Coriolis effect. But listen here, I know Coriolis effect, it has to do with objects moving through the atmosphere, and due to the Earth's curvature, like say why storms in the northern hemisphere will spin counterclockwise, and storms in the southern hemisphere will spin clockwise, and storms cannot go past the equator, and that's due to the rotation of the Earth, where the equator, where it is actually tangentially faster than the northern and southern parts of the Earth. So where it's closer to the poles, the storm is moving slower, and when it's closer to the equator, it's moving faster. And if a storm tries to cross the equator, it actually is ripped apart because it's trying to spin. So go one way as it goes across, those forces are changing, and then it tries to turn the other way, and then the storm is ripped apart. So, yeah, that's due to the rotation of the Earth. And I think NiCO thinks the Coriolis effect is something different. So listen.
Require a rotating Earth to explain the movement of fluids and air masses. So I don't know if I should keep going on, but I think I covered the star trails and the view from.
I think NiCO thinks the Coriolis effect is like accounts for the jet stream or the wind on the Earth, but that's not how Coriolis works. As I said before, wind is down to high and low pressure centers, and it has to do with the sun heating different parts of the atmosphere, and it causes a high pressure center, or it warms up, which actually causes a low pressure center because the hotter, warmer air is less dense. Density goes down, so then the cooler air moves into that area towards the less higher, warmer area mass that has got lower temperature. That's why airplanes will have turbulence, is when they run into these thermal pockets, and that's why if you're a small aircraft, I've experienced this myself, where like a Cessna, and if you fly into these, you'll actually feel the plane flying along, and then it'll start doing. It feels like it's dropping, and it's running into these air pockets where the air is a lot less dense, and so it's not able to maintain as much lift. So you'll feel it kind of drop, and then as it comes out of the pocket, it hits the denser, cooler air below it, and then it's or you move out of it as you're flying through it, and then you jolt back up again. So it's kind of a crazy feeling. I was in the Rocky Mountains in British Columbia, flying through like a valley, and we're hitting that quite a bit. It was quite it felt like it's kind of crazy. It wasn't anything too scary, but make your stomach bounce up into your up a little bit, especially some of those drops. But yeah,
a balloon or whatnot, or any space imagery, and where that comes from.
Okay, I will give you a chance again if you've got something to present, because I'm sure Cats might ask you to back certain things up as the debate goes along.
Right.
Again,
yeah, but NiCO doesn't have anything. That's all he'll have is just conjectures and fallacies.
if you do, just let me know, and I'll set that up while Cats is doing his rebuttal. Are you surrendering the remainder of your time?
How much time do I have left?
Well, it's currently on 4:20. I'll pause it for a second.
Oh, okay. Well, I can keep going actually, so that I can cover many of the points and the arguments that go with them. So
yeah, I'll start the time again, and I'll let you know when you've got a minute left. Yeah.
Right. So the time zones on Earth. People believe that because we have time zones that it has to be round and it has to be what NASA says. So the time zones can be explained by the flat Earth model as well.
Time zones are only geopolitical. They started, they kind of all, everybody kind of got together at one point, tried to bring a little bit more continuity to, for like world trade and stuff like that. When got to a certain point, I think it was in the 1800s, and they all met and decided that the Greenwich, that the longitude lines of Greenwich was going to be the international time point. So where the time zones start from there, which is why Greenwich time is like starts to zero, and then you're going to move one way, and then lining up with like kind of latitude lines of longitude. Latitude, sorry, I do get them mixed up sometimes. It was they were able to then calculate them out. Now, some places, because it's geopolitical, there was some countries or some either like one country, some areas, or a couple different countries side by side to want to stay within the same time zone to do for trade or continuity between the two of them. So if you look at some time zones, they'll sometimes obscure off, and that's because there may be a country there that wants to be on the same time. I think there's one like kind of off the coast of Africa. I think can't think of it right now, but they there's times when it goes straight down there and it kind of obscures off and incorporates a little island there, and I think it's Madagascar, and it's because they wanted to be on the time of just across the water there for of Africa, so that way they could kind of had continuity there, and you'll see that on a few different places. But time zones are geopolitical; they are not anything to do with the Earth so much as that a lot of times they may line up with different lines of longitude, lines of longitude, but not always, because they it's humans made them up to it's time. People built clocks. People decided to break the day up into 24 hours because it lined up for everything. The hours were we kind of use them as a way of calculating and measuring time over a certain distance over the day. So we could have made an hour twice as long and only had 12 hours, and it would have still worked out the same.
If the sun is moving in a circular pattern above the Earth, different areas would experience daylight and darkness at different times. So the
Yes, because time is a human construct.
concept of time
Well, the measurement of time is a human construct.
zones is based on local positions relative to the local small sun that is doing its rounds, and it's on its circuit over the flat Earth.
Except for the sun going from the northern hemisphere, when we're in the summer, like solstice of of June, northern hemisphere, the sun goes around and it takes 24 hours to do a complete circuit. And in the southern hemisphere, the same thing. Now, when in like this time of year or in December, the sun takes 24 hours but it has to travel a considerable amount of distance. So it would have to go faster to cover the same sort of thing. See if I can kind of show you here what I'm on about. Let's see here. Do place this map. Let's see here. Am I showing that? Right. Okay. Alright, so here we are. Got the Gleason's map, right? So we'll bring up an image of that, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is normally the map that Flat Earth is kind of adhered to, right? So you got the tropics, right? So over here, summertime. Oh crap! Don't do that to me. So northern summer, the sun's doing this. You can see my mouse, right? So it's doing something like that. And then it's supposed to, they say it spirals out as we get into like the equinox here when it goes over the equator, and then it goes out over the tropic of Capricorn, I think it is, down here. Now from here, the tropic of Cancer is doing that, right? So that distance there, 24 hours. Let's start here, around 24 hours. But in the southern summer, so here, it has to do this whole circuit, but like that all the way around here. Has to do that full circuit, that same, all that, in the same amount of time. So the sun has to nearly double the speed going here to go all the way around to make this full 360 in the same amount of time, which means it's traveling over these land masses twice as fast, which means that the sun, either the days should be shorter because sun's flying past a lot faster, and we're talking like breakneck speeds that we should be able to observe and see from the northern and the southern hemisphere. So you see the sun is absolutely freaking flying past, but we don't see that. Sun still moves at the same speed, and then it should come down here. Or sometimes flat earthers say not only do this, but it also rises up. So as it goes to the southern hemisphere, the sun goes higher in altitude and goes faster because it's higher in altitude. It's casting light further. But if that's the case, then that it would be casting its light if it's further in the southern hemisphere. So instead of it casting like light in this area, it's not casting light like that. Then its light goes in all directions. It's not. It doesn't choose to. Okay, I'm not gonna light up northern Canada. But I'm gonna light up all of this over here and all of this over here. But I'm gonna loop around like that and not do. That's not the way light doesn't work that way. That's just not how it works. So, yeah, that's what flat earthers claim, but it doesn't work in reality because there's too many holes. It's a fallacious statement, and that's why things like flat Earth don't work. So I'll move over here, move back to the debate here. I'll crack on.
Astronauts and space agencies have a track record of misleading or fabricated stories. Many astronauts are trained to follow scripts and present images that align with the round Earth narrative. So again, Masons, Freemasonic Brotherhood, all part of it. The sun and the stars, they're visible in the sky because the Earth is curved and they follow a specific path. So the sun and stars can be explained on a flat Earth with a different model of the cosmos. The sun could be much smaller and closer than the mainstream science claims, moving in the circular pattern above the Earth. So the sun, the stars, and all what we see are the supposed planets. They're actually just light sources in the firmament dome right there, 150,000 meters or feet above us, not light years across the end.
So he claims that the planets and stuff are all light sources. The only funny thing is I have physical pictures of the of the planets that I have took myself. And I like NiCO to kind of explain stuff like that. See, I can show you here. Let's see a better one here. NiCO, I like you explain something like that. That there is a physical picture I took of Jupiter. Right. That's a picture I took with my telescope. It's sitting over there with my my planetary camera, using my computer at night, standing out in the cold. So tell me how that. And not getting the best image, but how that is a light source when it's very clearly a planet. In fact, I love it when flat earthers bring that up because it's just hilarious. In fact, that there's Venus, which I took just today. And where is my Jupiter with the Galilean moons? There's Jupiter, and there's some of its moons. This is a picture I took myself. So, as a light source, then why does this light source have moons that move? That was a one picture I took there. And then I have where are you? Let's see if I can find it here. Where are you? I have on my phone. I do have videos of this up on my channel, by the way. So if anyone wants to have a look, more than welcome to have a look. I highly encourage it. That's something else I do as a hobby. Is I do astrophotography. So, oh, there it is. One of them. Okay. So this one here is overexposed. Jupiter. That's how it comes through when you look at the moons. So that's another one where it's there in a different place. Here's another one there. That's Jupiter again, and there's 4 of the moons. See how they've moved. This is over a couple, 2 different days. That's that is Uranus. Uranus. That was kind of cool. I only got that very short because there was some roofs and I couldn't see it anymore. But yeah, that's as I said, I got a picture of the moon. And if you look here, see those craters there? See how they're in shadow, but yet there's parts where it's being lit up by the moon, by the sun, and then you see the one there at the top there. See if I can bring it up here. Get my finger on it right there. That one there. See how it's past Terminator line, but yet it's still being lit up. That's because the sun is lighting the moon. And this is something flat earthers cannot explain. You can't explain all those craters, why they're being the past Terminator line, but yet they're lit up. These are pictures I've took myself with my phone, or not my phone, with my camera, astro camera, and my telescope. There they are. These are pictures I've took myself. Nothing that flat earthers cannot explain these. Right, look, there's Tycho crater right there. Cool, let's say. Yeah. All right, so I'll crack on. But yeah, that's something that flat earthers can't explain because the Earth's not flat, and they're not lights in some magical dome that nobody's ever been able to prove. Nor can they even give us a distance to it. Okay.
endless galaxy or universe. Satellites and GPS, they don't, so GPS doesn't run on satellites, they run on ground towers. So many GPS systems work via triangulation from ground-based stations.
Yet NiCO doesn't have any evidence of that. And how come the GPS signal seems to be coming from above, like from straight up, and not from like off in the distance? You can be out in the middle of the mountains and still get a GPS signal, but you cannot get a cell phone signal. And I've experienced it myself, as well as TFE, the final experiment. They went down to Antarctica. There's no cell phone towers there, but yet they're able to get internet using Starlink, which is satellites, and through using that Starlink satellite internet, they're able to communicate. But without that, they had nothing. In fact, I think Candace Owens' producer had a really cool 360 camera that they're going to take down, but you couldn't use it because they needed a it needed internet connection and a mobile phone fast connection, and so he could not use that because it wouldn't work. They had no cell phone signal. So, but yeah, they had GPS from and they had GPS from satellites out there, and they also had internet through Starlink, which uses satellites that Elon Musk has launched that orbit around the Earth.
Not necessarily relying on satellites orbiting a spherical Earth. So the accuracy of GPS doesn't require the Earth to be round, and many satellite systems could operate different ways without relying on a spherical model.
And that is a claim, but yet no evidence is proven or shown to back it up.
So I wanted to go back quickly to the evidence of a 24-hour sun. So most of the videos I said are manipulated or time lapse, which is easily could be doctored and stringed together and stitched up. We went over the historical accounts of the Antarctic Treaty, and of course, gas containment. So again, sorry, let me just going over my notes here. But just wait.
Once again, claims, but yet no evidence is presented. Just empty, fallacious claims that he makes for the sake of making claims. Right, so as I was talking about before, just kind of I don't hear. I don't know if people know about this. This is something I learned about a couple years ago. This is the March to the Moon website. And if you go down here a little bit, it has the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo missions, and it has about 30,000 different photographs on here. So if you pick one, I'm going to pick Mercury. It tells you the which Mercury missions you were. It tells you which camera was used and how many pictures there were. And if you click on them, I'm going to go to maybe, let's see, Mercury MA6, 75 pictures. Okay. As I said, this is scans of the actual pictures. So we're trying to, if you go through here, some of them, like I said, some they just went through the whole thing. Some of them are just, you go look and go, why they have that early. But as you can see from here, here's Mercury, and it gives you the number and everything, Atlas 6. This is in orbit, and there is the curvature of the Earth right there. There's the Earth, the Sun, space. That might even, or flat earthers always asking for stuff like that, aren't they? So the next one. So this was not a fisheye lens. I believe they actually give you all the information here, so they can tell you what. If you don't believe me, there's the information. So it tells you the ID, what program, what mission number, the date, so 1962 0220, So that would have been 1962, February 20th. Orbit, zero sky outside the window of Mercury, magazine 02. Tells you the camera, tells you the lens, a 50mm f2.8. The film type, Eastman color negative film, and exposure, which is automatic. So all of these give you everything that you can do this. Now, this is just like the lower res ones. You can download the high res ones, and some are like massive, especially getting some of the Apollo missions. So this is Mercury mission from 1962, proving the curvature of the Earth in color. Some of the early Mercury ones were actually in black and white, and it was to save a little bit of when they were sending it through bandwidth through radio, sending it down. So I was gonna see they're not like all perfect. You know, you think, oh, why all the pictures perfect? They're not. I think these are a couple stars to be here, honest. So, but some of them, I think some of these are actually been overexposed as well. That's why the red's like that, because they weren't perfect. They weren't photographers. Yeah, that's definitely that star is there for sure, 100%. Because I've seen that's movement there, and then that's stars. So you can click on these. You can make them bigger sometimes, but yeah. So that's something else. So like I said, they weren't perfect. These guys, they did the best they could. So here's some more of outside the window of their Mercury spacecraft. Showing curvature of the Earth. You know, like they always say, oh, there's no picture of curvature of the Earth, or all the new ones are all CGI. This is 1962. So any flat earther want to explain to me how in 1962 they had CGI on an Eastman color negative film 5250? Please go ahead and tell me how that worked out, and also explain to me how an Ansco AutoSet 35mm camera is also a digital camera using film from 1962. This is all curvature. There you go. So that's even one of the sun just coming over the horizon there. The NiCO seeing that we've never seen curvature from or from high up. I don't even think this was even as high up as the other ones got. So here we are now. It's going to the opposite side of the Earth. It's getting darker, as you see, twilight. And now we have they're taking pictures. We didn't have the exposure long enough to see stuff because it's dark. So there we are. And we're coming back to some other ones now. So they've come around the Earth. See here, we got a bit of bleeding in there, from light pollution, light coming into the cartridge. That's where you get that. So I worked with film for a while. As a kid, I bought myself a 24mm. I can't tell you what camera it was. 35mm. It was a kid to crank it, to load it. And it just had like a regular little autofocus lens. Like I had nothing. Like it was nothing automatic. It was all the only thing. Yeah. In fact, I had a lens, like a flash on top, sat on top, and then you had to put batteries in the flash, and that's the only way. And then the flash would get a little signal. It would like hit it, and it'd tell it to. There's a little button on the bottom, and you push the button up, and little thing when you push the shutter down, it bump that up, and it'd make the flash. I used to sit there and push the button and make the flash go off by myself. So I've worked with film. In fact, that's how I found out I needed glasses, is because suddenly my pictures started coming back not in focus. And they weren't in focus because it looked in focus in my viewfinder. I was like that, holding it up and turning it, and then I was like, "Why is wrong with the camera? Why is it always working?" And then I found out, oh, my eyes. And so it looked like it was in focus, but it wasn't. It wasn't in focus. Yeah, I blamed the camera for a while there. It's like, what's wrong with the camera? Why is it not working? Looked it over, could never figure it out. Other people used it, got perfect pictures. I couldn't get perfect pictures. All right, so we're gonna try this one here. I think this is Gemini, isn't it? Yeah, Gemini program. Okay, and so they started using the Hasselblad camera for this time. So super wide camera. Now the super wide, this means, but that's not because people like to kick off. So we'll do Hasselblad. I'll do the Gemini 8 Hasselblad 500C 70mm. This is to show for color correction when they were processing the film, when they had to do it in the dark room to make sure that they got the colors right. So this was like something. That's why they did all this, and then that way they knew if this came out, they knew that the rest of the film reel would be fine. Now this is 21 images, so not that bad. So we'll look at this over, and look right there from Gemini 8, curvature of the Earth with the sun coming up. Gorgeous. And somewhere like of the craft itself. They didn't always do the pictures of the Earth because they weren't trying to. They already knew that the Earth is a globe then. So here's some more with the Gemini craft. And this was just after I think that's it, the second stage heading off and took a picture. This is kind of cool. But you look at the very, very top here. So that's the second stage there. And right at the very, very top here, you can see it's the previous. That would be, yeah, that's the previous picture right there. See here, showing up in there. And then that one there, the previous picture there. And it's because this was all straight off the film. So sometimes, they didn't get the film exactly centered in there when scanning it. So that's where you have the, you go to the next one and you'll see the previous bottom. So here we are. So this was, as you can see here, there you are. Showing the curvature of the Earth, and this was part of the craft. This is after it being, I think it being, this, maybe it wasn't jettisoned. Maybe this is when they were going to dock on it. But there, it actually could have been. So there you go. So that shows part of the craft and the curvature of our big, beautiful spherical Earth. So this is 100% evidence on physical film, and I can even show you the film they used. There you are, in case anybody's interested. So it was image ID off Gemini 8, 1966 0316, frame on number 1, orbit 3. Get time, so you had the time here. So you got more information here, more metadata here, and come down here. The magazine 20 Hasselblad 500C 70mm. The lens is Thesis Planier 80mm f2.8. Now I just want to bring your attention here for that is not, and it's also on Kodak Ektachrome SO 217 medium speed ASA 16 color reversal. So there. Now I want to bring back this one quick thing here because people are going to say, "Oh, it's it's fisheye or stuff like that." Those flat earthers like to bring up all that crap. And if we bring up previous picture here, where are ya? Right. It's no, I move back from here. Hold on here. You see here now, if this was fisheye, and this is a fisheye lens, exact same lens you're using before. Move it here, right? Genesis Planier 80mm f2.8, same camera. If it's fisheye, these straight lines would be, because it's below the center of a frame, this would be like a happy face. It'd be starting to bend up, and this here would be bending up like that. It'd be bent if it's fisheye. That would be obscured. That would not be straight like that. The straight lines would not appear straight. See here how the curvature of the horizon's there, but yet this is straight. So no, it was never a fisheye lens. You never had that there. So just wanted to bring that up in case anybody wants to claim otherwise. Right, so that's the, I'm going back on the roll now, so 21 there. So, and if I want to get one quick thing here, I know I'm kind of rambling here a bit. It's my stream, do I want? We have all the Apollo missions. So, and I'm going to do particularly Apollo 17. I think 17 is one that had that. Now, the only thing with this is now they had bigger, um, yeah, they had bigger magazines. Because this one here, this one is 1,196 images. Now, I don't know if I can. So now we have the moon. I don't know if I can. Here's the Earth again. I'm pretty sure the one I was looking for is, yeah, it's going to be in here. So. See that one there? Let's go back a bit. Flat Earthers love this one. See that? Guess what that is? That's Antarctica, people. Yipper. So yeah, this is more obviously it's better camera, better film, and they're a lot more better at processing the film. So now we get this really nice, lovely colors, and yeah, better. I think it's a better lens too. I think here now they're using, yeah. They still have the Aziz Pioneer 80mm f 2.8 Kodak Hasselblad 500 EL. So I think it's a different camera. Bit more, technology advanced. And oh, when this was from. Usually they have a date on these, but Apollo 17. But it's research could probably find that out, right? So you can see here, and flat earthers say we've never had any pictures of the curvature of the Earth. Well, actually, we don't have a picture. We have thousands of pictures, thousands upon thousands upon thousands. Look at this. Further away. Oh, this one here. See, it didn't work out, right? Switch up ahead. Oh, look at that. Wow. Absolutely lovely. Now, the people have actually looked over this and matched up the weather patterns to when this was weather patterns when this is supposed to have been done, and it matches up perfectly over over the areas. So not all of them are of the planet, of course. So we have some they're taking pictures. I think NASA wants some pictures of the craft. So yeah, we have different pictures of some of the landers and the modules. I think they were here. They were docking with it. I got them earlier, and then they got some more of the Earth. They're further out now, and I think we're getting to see how this is before the blue marble. See how this about the distance. This bit further closer. This is further, but nope, nope. That one there's something different. Yeah, because I think AS17148, we're getting close to the famous blue marble that flat earthers say is CGI. So here's all the different pictures here of some of the craft, and here is some stuff with the gorgeous Earth. And I think here, so we got what something there. Then we got here, not quite centered, so that's 22. I think one of these here is the famous blue marble. Let's see, as you can see here, the previous one. So you can see the cloud patterns. This is slightly different exposure. So compared to that one, they're very similar. They're probably very close together, but the colors have changed, and it's because the exposure is a little different. And this one here again. So we'll go from here, here. You can actually see the movement a bit of the Earth, so or of the craft. Here's again. Here's again. That's I think these guys here. I think it was one of these. That was became the famous blue marble, not that one there. It's one of these guys here. I think it was this one here, but yeah, I think it was 22 7/26. That's the blue marble that was taken on physical film. You can see how it's advanced from the first one here, one there, and go do. Oh, right. So that was maybe a bit better. It had a bit better exposure. Then you took another one. Oh, there's a pretty one too, right? Pretty much the same way, right? And why it looks like that is because we're talking, here's Antarctica at the bottom there, and it's just focal length. And there we are. So further away now. So yes, we have plenty of pictures of the Earth. Why are those oriented that way? Probably the camera or the craft was floating in a different way. Probably the people because they're weightless. So, but these are all scans of the film. You can see how even the film is here, and they were done on this high resolution scanners of the actual film to preserve it, and it's back in cold storage. This way, people can look at it whenever you like. So we get into that, and now we're gonna get into like stuff like the craft and lander or orbiter, and we get stuff like the moon, Earth a lot further away. And now we get into stuff like we get into the surface of the moon. Yep. And you got some here. We have the surface of the moon. We got like there's the Earth there. Sun's obviously way off that way. And the surface of the moon. Another one for, and there you got. Is that? Oh, that's just the Earth further away. Something else in there. Part of the craft, and then we get into see, they're pretty much orbiting the moon now. There's the Earth way off it. Tiny little thing. The moon. There. I think this is this the dark side of the moon? They have some pictures. Yeah, it's not quite cratered up, but taking pictures, they do know what the dark side of the moon is, but then what it looks like. They got lots of pictures of it. So here we are. And you get into one. We'll have somewhere we got. I'm not go through all these, but yeah, you get somewhere you have the off the surface of the moon, and you'll have the Earth. So is that the take different ones if that? So yeah, this is stuff that flat earthers all and moon deniers all deny. That the evidence is real, that's out there, but it certainly is out there, and we have it, and we can prove it. Right. So yeah, I was trying to get to where the yeah, something like there. Coming down closer to the moon now. Awesome detail. They have some on this reel where they have pictures where they're standing beside the lander and they're facing up, and they're you can see the moon, this Earth off in the distance from the surface of the moon. So yeah, like I said, this one reel has got 1,196 pictures. So yeah, amazing. It's crazy. Right? And then you have all these from Apollo mission, right? So this one here's got 1,500 pictures. You got 1,393. Then you got Apollo 17 from the data cameras. You got 2,401 pictures. So yeah, there's definitely pictures all on physical film. Something that flat earthers just refuse to acknowledge. But all right, let's move back to the debate because I am letting the stream just go on, and it's like 2:20 in the morning, so I'm getting in trouble. Right. watching. Be cool if they were.
Way too many that I don't think can be explained for, especially when the only explanation is the science and the research that is laid out in our books, on the internet, with this data that, I've gone through the data. I've been a big globe earther most of my life, and it's just, that's all it is. It's data. And once you realize that that stuff is bought and paid for, then you start to question it. So it's just everything. Water is always finding its level. Water, when undisturbed, always
1 minute.
maintains a level surface. So oceans, rivers, and lakes, they all exhibit this property. Yeah, I guess I'm done. You can end it there. So I can go ahead with that and see what Katz has to say.
Okay, NiCO, thanks for that. One thing I will say, I posted in chat, for some reason the plugin that lets me display your chats has decided to die tonight. But we will, at the next break, we will read everyone that you sent out in the stream. Right, Cats, I'm going to reset your clock now.
That sounded like a threat. Gonna reset my clock. Oof.
Yeah, I am going to reset your clock as well, especially for reading that other super chat out. Oh yeah, Broughton's got a target on his head. Let me tell you. Anyway, are you ready to go?
No, but let's do it anyway.
All right, now watch Culture Cat says he just pretty much asks for any evidence which none is presented, and then shows evidence and destroys NiCO even further. And you can see NiCO started looking pissed off, and Culture Cats is looking happy because he knows NiCO's just talking a little bollocks.
Do it anyway.
One other thing, when you show, I mean, I've still got your shared screen in the studio, but hopefully if you share again, hopefully it'll be on the same setting. Otherwise, I'm going to set that up again. Just thought I'd let you know.
Oh, I am sure. Oh, I shouldn't have pressed stop sharing. You were going to take that down, weren't you?
Yeah, you preempted me a bit there, didn't you?
Yeah, I've screwed the tech up again. It's a habit. Right, I am sharing. I don't know if it's coming on screen or not.
All right, I'm not gonna make it through this whole stream, but we'll go a little bit longer here, and then I'm gonna have to probably shut this down. I'm not gonna make it into this debate. I just don't have the bloody time.
Yeah, got it now.
Okay. So this is to address purely what NiCO said in his opening. And I started off in my opening by wondering what kind of a flat earther NiCO was. So I believe he's going down this side here where he's saying that the science does agree with the Bible. Things like perspective, how the eye works, does agree with what the Bible says.
Yeah, except for he's never presented a scrap of evidence from science to substantiate that at all. A little caveat: this stream was just me learning to do a stream. So if anybody sees this and it's shite, yeah, that's because I'm still learning. But I look forward to any kind of comments anybody wants to put on this or below it if it comes up as a video, because I'd be interested to know.
So we're now down here, and is NiCO showing an understanding of that science? And it's all right if he's not. It's all right if he's not showing an understanding of it. If he doesn't know that he's not showing an understanding of it, then that's fine. That's honest mistake. Or in this debate, we're going to find out that it's me that doesn't have the understanding of it, and NiCO can quite rightly call me out on that. That's what we're here for. Now, the first thing he said in his opening statement was that there was no observable curvature, and of course, this isn't a plane with windows or anything like that. We can talk about the Mage 2 satellite that Mr. Sensible sent up, where we can clearly see curvature. So to say there's no observable curvature would be incorrect. What we have to do if the Earth is flat is
well, it obviously is incorrect because one, like he's showing something there, as well as I just showed something from 1960s and 70s showing curvature of the Earth.
Explain why we get these observations of curvature. So this is obviously a left to right observation of curvature that we get with extremely high altitudes. This is like 36,000 feet with that weather balloon. So we can,
which is funny because planes fly about 35, 36, sometimes 37,000 feet, and I know pilots that have shown me pictures they've took of themselves from the cabin of the plane, showing visible curvature and also showing the horizon is below eye level, because they're showing that their altimeter showing, like, well, not altimeter, their pitch is showing 0, and yet the horizon is considerably lower.
we simply cannot say there's no observed curvature. It's right here on the screen. But in the forward and backward that we have later on, can NiCO explain in depth rather than just saying it's how the eye works? Can he explain why we get that? So I'm sure we'll dig into that a little bit.
Nope, he'll have no explanation for that. He'll just say it's how the eye works because the eye is round.
When we start talking about curvature, going forward and backwards, again, things like this, we can't simply just say, oh, it's perspective, because that doesn't display any understanding of the science. It's like a catchphrase, it's perspective. So we'll dig deeper into this. This is obviously a sign of curvature. And if the Earth is flat, it needs to be explained away thoroughly using science. So again, I know this isn't the back and forth. We'll dig into that, and NiCO might hopefully tell us why he believes this isn't a sign of curvature and why he believes it's down to the way the eye works or curvature. Can he explain that, or is saying those words just a catchphrase? The third thing he said was the flat horizon. And yes, I had this with Aaron last week. When you are stood on a huge ball and you're looking at the horizon, every single point on the horizon is going to be exactly the same distance away from you. And there's going to be no observable left to right curvature at that scale from that height. I'm not saying that, if you're compressing photographs and all, you might be able to detect a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, there should be no observable curvature. That is perfectly what we would expect. I mean, what did I have here? Where is it? The picture's coming up. There we go. It's this whole kind of thing, isn't it? We're not seeing left to right curvature when we're looking at that kind of scale. It's the same thing. So we would expect that. Of course.
And that's one thing flat earthers can't comprehend is the fact is that because we're so small compared to the Earth is 24,901 miles in diameter, and since we're on the surface, quite close, and obviously our eyes are, close together, especially in relation to the Earth, it looks kind of flat. It looks flat, like how this basketball looks really, really flat, but it's obviously not because it's a basketball. It's a spherical object, but it looks like it has topography and everything. And something flat earthers can't understand or comprehend is scale, right? The scale of how big we are compared to the Earth, and then the curvature and how it should be seen. And that's the whole thing. And most flat earthers, if you ask for evidence of the flat Earth, they'll say it looks flat. It looks flat to me. I looked with my eyes, and that's how I know it's flat. But it's not measurements. You're not measuring the eyes. You can't measure. Eyes aren't accurate enough for that. Measure left to right curvature. We don't have a big enough field of vision for that. So, and that's the whole problem. But they refuse to accept that.
Of course, you would also expect it on a flat Earth, yes. But you would expect it on a globe as well. The fourth thing
it doesn't falsify the globe, so they can't they use that, but it's not a falsification of the globe.
Mentioned was flight paths, which I found was interesting, and we can talk about this. And I understand this. I understand if you look at a map like this, you might think the shortest distance from Washington to Madrid is that straight line, and this weird curvy one doesn't make any sense. I understand that looking at it like that. Am I still here?
Yeah, I have a video as soon as I find it. It's on my TikTok, but of me explaining all this and actually doing the comparisons, the measurements, using real flights and comparing it from flat Earth to globe Earth and showing which one makes sense and works and which one doesn't make sense and is falsified. You can guess which one is falsified.
My internet seems to be taking a shit.
No, you're still here, mate. Carry on.
Okay, cool. I understand that it might look confusing. However, if we start talking about great circles, and I actually explain in the back and forth, all I can say now, NiCO, is you have to trust me that when we wrap this around a ball, this curved line here is the shortest distance between the two. Maybe have a Google of great circle while I'm doing this rebuttal, and you'll see what I mean. And if you don't believe me, we can get into it in the back and forth. But this really is, on a globe, the shortest line between the two, not the straight line.
I hope NiCO does actually do that while he's doing this, but I have my doubts.
Now, you said we should be able to see the effects of motion on planes, which is, again, see the effect of Earth's motion on planes is something you've said. And actually, I brought that up in my introduction, that we actually can see that effect. If we're on a plane traveling east or west, we actually get these predictable changes in weight, the Eötvös effect, which we can go into and we can discuss. I am interested to hear from you what you believe that effect on motion could be, that you expect to see. We've got to remember that planes have engines and they can be steered. They're not like in projectile motion or something like that. They are constantly altering and accounting for those bits of turbulence and friction with the atmosphere around them. There's constant adjustments as they're flying because they have engines. So I would be interested in hearing what you think that those effects of motion should be.
Yeah, exactly. They have pilots. They have control surfaces, and the autopilot is constantly making micro adjustments. And there's something called the INS system that that helps with that. It's especially modern commercial aircraft, or they have pendulous vanes in the altimeter, in the false horizon, which kind of works the same way. And look it up. Pendulous vanes, they actually allow the gyro to process with as the plane flies over the curvature of the Earth, to process to change and keep up with the pull of the gravitational effect that's pulling it down, to maintain that. Now, fast, because of pendulous vanes, they move they move slowly, and they will do this. And I think it's Wolfie 6020 has a video showing this using a pendulous vanes. They're very expensive. He had one, and he showed how it works, and how it can keep up with the plane flying over the curvature of the Earth, and it can change its orientation. But a fast motion, it will show accurately the horizon and the change in angle of the craft. But if it was left at a very small one position for a very long time, it would actually self-correct itself. Now, the INS system, it has different gyros, and has different accelerometers and stuff like that, which are and it's on a big platform, which kind of helps keep itself oriented, and it will correct itself as well. But yeah, I digress. Yeah, I'm gonna call this here pretty soon. It's like nearly 3 in the morning, so I'm going to go on a little longer here, and then I'm gonna have to probably call this and either pick up on the stream, or we'll leave it at what it is. And hopefully some people watch this. There's no one's watching right now, but hopefully some people will be interested. I would really like to have some engagement on this, so let's crack on.
You said the moon and the sun appear the same size, and that works on a flat Earth model. I mean, it also works on the globe model as well. That's not really... Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about that. You mentioned hotspots. Well, if I go to the almost end of this PowerPoint, and I think you were talking about crepuscular rays, we can get into this later on. Oh, God, how much time did I put into doing this? We can see that when we're talking about hotspots and crepuscular rays, this was taken from a video of a channel of a guy called... Let me... I want to give him a shout out. I'll promise...
There's obviously a front door, and it's the sun coming through the window of the door.
I'll find his name later on. He's got a YouTube channel. This is him showing crepuscular rays coming through his front door, and he's taken a photograph of them from one angle, and then he takes steps to the side. You actually see that it is perspective, just very much like train tracks. You take a step to the side of train tracks, and they suddenly become parallel, and you know the parallel. But when you're looking them right down the barrel, you see something like this. And this, nobody's going to believe that the sun is 2 meters outside this guy's front door. So I understand why you're saying that, but the reality is, in this case, it is perspective, and the perspective is exactly what we would expect to see. You talked about limits of vision, and I can only assume you're talking about the Rayleigh criterion. and how our limit of vision, our resolution limit, is determined by the aperture of our eye and the wavelength of light that we're viewing through. We can talk about the Rayleigh criterion equation. I was a physics teacher. I taught to A level. That's something I'm quite happy to talk about if you want to. But
Oh, man, yeah. NiCO's kind of starting to realize that. Yeah. No, that's not it. Yeah, he's gonna be he's not feeling so good now, is he? So yeah, that should be interesting because I think he didn't realize Culture Cat's more educated than he thinks, and NiCO's starting to feel. Oh, he's not feeling so good now, is he?
I will be asking you in the back and forth to, again, use the science you understand to describe and explain to me what you mean by limit of vision, because it is a catchphrase that I hear a lot. But is there an underlying understanding of the science beneath that, or is it a catchphrase? You talk about inconsistency with NASA, and I've written down NASA inconsistencies. I'll be honest, I can't remember exactly what you said about that, so maybe you can quiz me on that in the thing. I can't remember what you said. Mickelson and Morley, you brought up.
He didn't really say anything specific. All he said was that like pictures like the 2002 Blue Marble, which was a composite, and he feels that's fake because it's a composite. Because well, he claims he's got experience doing like video editing and stuff like that. He obviously has no experience in photography and doesn't realize that composite images are not necessarily fake images. They're just a series of images stitched together, like the 24-hour Antarctic sun that's done with using Insta360s.
To do with the Earth's motion. This came up in the debate last week. Now, I don't know.
What is with NiCO's face? What kind of face is that? He's a weird guy.
No, can you just give us a thumbs up if you've read the Mickelson-Morley paper, or a thumbs down if you haven't? Is that okay? I don't know if you can. If there's a...
Yeah, that's pretty funny there. I told you he didn't read it. I told you he's never read it at all. Not a clue. So he was parroting other people's evidence or other people's things. He's never read it. He has no idea. He said things, but he's never read it at all. He's just making crap up because he heard probably Flyer with Dave or somebody say it, and he's just parroting it. He's a Poe. But I'm pretty sure he's already been outed as a Poe.
You haven't? Okay. So when we read the Mickelson-Morley paper, and I can do this...
Oh. Yeah, that's right. Culture Cats brought the Mickelson-Morley paper out. Oh dear me. Poor NiCO. He's just Yep.
We did this last week. Basically, when you read it, there is absolutely no indication anywhere in this paper or experiment that the Earth is not in motion. It was an experiment that failed to detect a relative movement between the ether and the Earth.
Perfect. Exactly it. Pulled the paper out himself, Culture Cats, and pretty much just exposed NiCO for a lying little flirfy flurf. Oh dear me. Facepalm right there.
And then the ether has since just been discarded anyway. But the paper, in fact, makes lots of reference to the fact that we know the Earth is in motion, which is why we can perform this experiment. So I know lots of flat earthers do talk about Mickelson and Morley and Urey's failure, saying the Earth is stationary. But actually, if you read the papers, and we can, they do reference the fact that the Earth very much definitely is in motion.
Oh, yeah. Man, NiCO's just taking it here, isn't he? I mean, he's getting absolutely smacked around. I mean, like a little. Yep. That's the one there. That's the one. Boom! Mic drop by Culture Cats. NiCO is getting absolutely hammered. Poor boy. No wonder his face looks like that.
And I can show you those bits when we're actually going back and forth, but it definitely does not say the Earth is not moving. The 24-hour sun, you said is... Right, I can't remember what I've just wrote. 24-hour sun equals proof. I'm not sure whether you said that's proof of flat Earth or proof of... You might have to elaborate with me in the back and forth. I can't remember why I wrote that down. Sorry. And then you talked about refraction, which indeed is a thing. And you said that could cause the 24-hour sun. Again, I might want to... I know refraction is a thing, obviously, but I want to pick your brain on how refraction can cause that video we saw, that 24-hour movement. But also... 1 minute. But also, I know you're saying that the final experiment is fake and there is no 24-hour sun. So if there is no 24-hour sun and it's fake, why bring up refraction to say that could cause a 24-hour sun? I'm not sure how those two arguments join together.
Yeah, NiCO's has pretty much contradicted everything he said because he was claiming it was something like the volume, which is like a series of different LED displays, stage used on like the Mandalorian and used on like Obi-Wan and by Disney, and he claimed that that was how they did the 24-hour sun. Zero evidence, but and now he's saying that it's due to refraction that causes the sun to orbit above their heads for 24 hours in Antarctica, which if it was a flat Earth, that'd be out at the end of the pizza pie. So yeah, NiCO is just like he's making that face of his. I think it's I don't know why he does his debates because every time he does his debates, he doesn't bring any receipts, doesn't bring anything at all, and he gets absolutely roasted. So I just don't understand why he's doing it. Makes no sense. I think he should just stick with making his BS videos and let people like me and everybody else just either ignore him or debunk him and make fun of him. Because him coming in this doesn't do him any favors. It just makes him look worse.
Without contradicting each other. Again, not looking for an argument, just to understand why you believe some of the things you believe and why you've said some of the things you've said. So I will be giving you time to explain those. And I am interested in hearing what you've got to say on those. Other than that, you don't want me to stop sharing screen, do you, Doom? You're going to take it off, aren't you?
I'll take it off for you, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, there you are. So, well done, Culture Cats. That was a nice little roasting and absolutely freaking dog walk NiCO right there. Lovely. Good job.
Right. Okay. That's the first two segments over. We're going to have a super chat break now. I need to ask Cats to read them out because, like I said, my super chat device, we'll call it, being polite, has decided to die on me. So we'll just have to read them for tonight. I will mend it for next time, I promise.
Well, we will start with, and I know we've already read this one out, but it was the only one we got before we started, so I'm going to read it out again. This is Can't Read the Other Day in a Normal Voice Anymore, has bought 20 memberships. So thank you so much for that. There is a members Discord server for this channel. Doom will fill you in later on with how to access that, I'm sure. He's the boss over there. General E. Shady for $2 says, will we see Cracker Cats today? He's only human. I'm not quite sure I get the reference, but maybe. I don't know. Cracker Cats, I'm going to have to think what that might be. Mike Hatch says, if you don't believe the science, go do it yourself. And I actually quite like, one of the questions I am going to ask you later on, NiCO, is if you were given the opportunity now, would you go to the Antarctica, to see for yourself? Would that be something you're interested in? But I'll ask you that later.
I don't think he will because he doesn't want to be falsified. He's seen this happen to Jaren, and he's seen this happen to Witsit, and both have been made outcasts because they went and did something that falsified the flat Earth, seeking truth. And I will be doing a stream which I'll be going over some of Jaren's stuff because Jaren is absolutely roasting the crap out of flat Earth and flat Earthers. It's funny, and I think it's worth covering a bit. So, yeah. But I don't think NiCO would. He doesn't want to give up the grift.
Otto says, and listen, NiCO, I've got to read out a super chat. That's the thing. So if some of them are negative against you, don't hold it against me. Okay, I've got to read them out. But
NiCO's used to it because every time he's in one of these debates, he gets absolutely roasted by the chat.
NiCO, so from Otto for $2 says, NiCO might need some money to buy more subscribers. I'm not accusing you of buying subscribers, NiCO. It's super chat. Don't lynch me when this is done. Present 99 again, sir, says, who is the guy in the thumbnail anyway? That's not NiCO for sure. Well, the bald one was me. The thumbnail is NiCO. It was taken from NiCO's channel, I believe. Doom made the thumbnail. He might fill you in on that. Present 99 again for 10. I don't know if that's euros or pounds. My screen's a bit small. It's one of those squiggly ones. It's definitely not dollars. It's one of the two. He doesn't know of Mage. He doesn't know of Mage in reality. I bet he's new on this grift. This was before his time, I bet. Now, actually, I was speaking to NiCO behind the scenes, and he says he's been in Flat Earth for a long time, but not really on YouTube. So he might not know about the whole Mage saga. So that might be something new for us to talk about. He might not know about that at all, actually.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. I haven't been in this that long, so yeah. Good news to me. Interesting.
Dora and Ku, hello, Dora, says, can NiCO Steelman star rotation on the globe? And I love that. I am going to ask him that in the back and forth. I think that's a great point. Can't read the other day in a normal voice anymore. Said, Katz is playing NiCO like a fiddle. He really did use those exact arguments, Katz said, and showed his lack of scientific knowledge. Brilliant. Well, we're not into the back and forth yet. You know, he might absolutely school me. We don't know. We're getting there. You know, this could end very bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting absolutely roasted, really.
Badly for me. We're about to find out. Timo Lynch, who's coming up to get drunk with me next week, says the famous GPS ground towers on the oceans. Yeah, maybe we'll learn more about them. Present 99 again, man.
That is a good point. I mean, they have navigation, like GPS and stuff, on ships out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So can NiCO explain where the cell towers and ground towers are out in the middle of the ocean, Atlantic or Pacific Ocean? Because they do have a limit on how far they can go.
Katz, when you explain all of this, just look at his eyes. At no point is there any reaction or even attention. Nothing.
That's it, NiCO. You can see he's like literally zoned right up. Doesn't want to know. He's not interested.
I don't know. I think NiCO's playing a poker face and not giving anything away is what I think. I think he's very poker faced. And concentrating. But thank you anyway. Tommy Gronvold for 50 knock. Thank you. Says both Rory and myself have captured the side curvature of their eyes and drawing a straight edge. It's the yes. I saw your comment on the video last week, and I was saying, you know, nobody would be able to see it. And you know, you are right. I've looked at your stuff. It's not discernible from a man stood on the horizon, absolutely. But yeah, with what you did was fantastic. To show that it is there. You are correct on that, sir. And I was wrong last week. IC Spin says, shush, be very, very, very quiet. I'm hunting wabbits. Okay, awesome. M2M. You know M2M, I asked AI today to recommend a good video about shadows. I wanted to take some images from, and it recommended your video. M2M, if you can subscribe to him, is brilliant. All the so-called solutions to the 24-hour sun rely on the dome that has never been proven to exist, so they fall apart from the get-go.
Yep, 100%. Dome has never been proven to exist. The only time I've ever heard a flat earther try to claim or try to prove the dome exists is they use like a SpaceX. So usually, when that rocket blew up, one of the Starship ones, what they failed to notice is that while the booster did fail due to a leak, it blew up, the Starship continued on, and there's telemetry data at the bottom of the screen, and it continued on for a lot further, higher in altitude, further in distance, and faster in speed. Now, I had a flat earther try to bring this up once, and I pointed that out, and he pretty much just lost his shit on me and rage quit.
And that is all of them for now.
Mentioned I've seen another gifted from Present 99.
Have we?
Yeah, he's gifted 50 memberships again.
Oh, where did that go? Why is that not on viewer activity? Yes, I can see at the top of the thing. Oh, Present, you incredibly generous person. You really, really are. And thank you so much for that. Thank you. That's amazing. I'm gonna be honest, I'm sweating my balls off here. The heating's on and I need to put a t-shirt on. I can't. I'm gonna have to run and put a t-shirt on, dude. I've never been this, but I'm absolutely sweating. I'll be 10 seconds. I'll just take my jumper off. I've actually got a t-shirt on, but I'll take my jumper off on the other side of the door. I'm going to pass back to you for 10 seconds.
No worries. You know, you always get nightmares about this happening. I didn't prepare a script. So, I mean, I could tell a dad joke, but there's a guy in the chat that could probably tell better ones than I do. And there he is. That's really quick. Thank you for saving me there, Cats.
Sorry, what was that? I've just put my earphone in.
I didn't say anything of any note. Don't worry about it. Like always. Right, I'm going to unlock both microphones now. So, NiCO, you are now unmuted as well. Third stage can commence when you want. Please, like I said, I'm sure you will do. Conduct it civilly. Let the other person speak and finish speaking before you jump in. If there's lag, then obviously try and account for that. So away you go, gentlemen.
All right. Well, I'm gonna probably have to stop it there because it is getting bloody late. But I know nobody's in the chat right now. I know nobody's seen this live. And maybe if make it more regular occurrence, then I can maybe get a community start building up here, or get something, see what kind of fun I can have on here, and we'll go from there. So yeah, this is something new to me. I have obviously I was more on TikTok for a while. I didn't have all this equipment, but I've invested in a new laptop that can actually do stuff like this, as well as I got a microphone and a sound card. Hopefully the sound quality is good. I couldn't afford anything like super expensive like other people out there, like a Rode or Rodecaster or whatever the heck those are, but I think it does all right. So we'll go for there. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to click that like button, click the subscribe button, comment on this video, and yeah, just remember that the Earth is demonstrably, empirically, and observably a globe. We live on a sphere. Space is real, and flat Earth is nothing but a fallacious fantasy. Thanks for watching, and see you again.